made pitches, and then was able to settle in and did a really nice job in the way he used the sinker. That was a good pitch for him. The cutter was good. He threw some much better sweepers too, so that was fun to see. But the overall mix was really good. Gave us exactly what we needed today. I mean, everybody has a pretty good idea as to where our pen is, and giving them a break was important. So sending them back out to see if he can continue to get us just a couple outs was the play, and I'm glad we did. But he did a really nice job.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, that's what it sounded like last night as Ollie Marmol discusses what they got out of Michael McGreevy. Man, that looks different. That felt different. That's what a stopper looks like.
That was different than Jared Schuster and Bruce Zimmerman for you guys.
Yeah, felt a little better about that one. Hell, looked different than Hunter Dobbins, if we're being real.
I'm actually really disappointed in Ollie. I think his press conference should have been walking up to the podium and be like, anybody want to question my decision to push McGreevy back one more day? Yeah, what's up, guys? Anybody want to question good old Ollie Marmol today?
You like that extra day of rest for old Mike McGreevy?
This guy doesn't know how to manage. He doesn't want to win.
That was impressive. Hell of a performance by Michael McGreevy. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, allowed just 1 earned run, and then the bullpen coming in and shutting it down. Gastelum, all right.
Why was that dude not here like a month ago?
I think there are people in the Cardinals organization that are wondering the same thing.
I'm just thinking of watching Roy Croft and Fernandez when he came up those couple of times and being like...
saw 2 batters, like, this is different.
You watch Schuster, it's like, what's going on here?
You could feel it.
A little Luis, please.
And then Jojo Romero looking as good as he has in, I don't know, like a month. And then Riley O'Brien coming in, and there was not a concern there at the end. Like, you didn't have to worry about, hey, is he going to be on a tightrope here? No, just comes in, gets it done, boom, you're ready to go into the game today. That looked, felt, and reality was quite different than what it's looked like over the past few days. And it all started with Michael McGreevy. Alex, what'd you make of his start last night?
You said it best. And now it feels like they've got 2 stoppers on this team in McGreevy and Dustin May. And I'll be interested to see how Andre Palante looks because he's been good all season. But like the longest time for the Cardinals, every time they've needed something like that to where bullpen is gassed, they're in the bit of a losing streak, offense is just a little all over the place, and you're like, can we just please get somebody that comes to the mound and says we're winning this baseball game? May has done it at times this season, and Michael McGreevy has done it, it feels like almost every time he's taken the mound this year. So that's what the Cardinals have always been looking for. Now, he's doing it a little differently. I know it's not the high leverage swing and miss stuff that Mizurowski or I'd say Harrison, but he got hit around a little bit yesterday by the Cardinals. But, man, they just need guys that know what the task is in front of them and goes out there and grinds through it. And that's what McGreevy did. He knew that bullpen was fried, and he said, I'm giving it 6. And it was 6 competitive innings for this Cardinals team. So kudos to him. And again, I said it tongue-in-cheek, but kudos to Ollie. The guy listens to his players, and if the players say, look, I just need a little bit of time, which I'm assuming McGreevy did because of what the report was, we're saying he was healthy, he just needed a little bit more, and he backs his players. That's how you earn the trust of the manager and the players that go out there and fight for those guys.
By the way, I want to make this clear because I saw this text from the 314. Jim Hayes asked Michael McGreevy if the extra day helped, and he said, nah. A player will never acknowledge that publicly.
Yeah, what'd you want him to say? Yeah, I would have been trash yesterday.
It's very rare that you will see a player say, I'm not feeling right. I can't go. Not publicly. Privately, the answer may be quite different. Honestly, this is to go back to our conversation yesterday. By the way, apparently Christian Pulisic had a microfracture in his leg, so suddenly it makes a little more sense why he had to leave.
Yeah, but Landon Donovan calling him out still, even yesterday, doubling down, I'm still okay with everything that we said. But to your point, I'll never forget Patrice Bergeron when the Bruins won the Cup. He was interviewed before, I think it was Game 6, and they asked him, like, because he was injured a lot, and they said, are you going to be good to go? He's like, I will be out there for the rest of this series. And they found out afterwards the dude had a punctured lung.
Yeah,
they always say they're
acknowledge that publicly because there's no benefit to doing so.
Right.
It makes you look weak. Now, whether or not you actually are, it doesn't matter. But these guys are the highest level athletes in the world. They are competitive to a fault most of the time. I will never forget hearing stories about Drew Brees, former Saints quarterback, who in their locker room, they had a ping pong table, and he would be furious, like throw a tantrum if he would lose a game of ping pong, because he's just that competitive. And that's what you need in order to get to that level. And I bring all of that up to circle back to Michael McGreevy, who, of course, he's not going to say that he needed the extra day publicly. But when they are making their moves and their actions tell you he needed another day, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he probably needed another day. Somebody on the text line said he said on TMA he didn't ask for the extra rest. Team just did it. All right, maybe they did. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably had a reason for that. Whether it was McGreevy saying he needed another day, he needed extra rest, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's very clear they felt as though that guy is not ready to go out there and give us his best stuff today. Whether it was his words or his bullpen that showed that, they clearly needed it. I didn't have an issue with them pushing him back. I had an issue with calling up Schuster. That's the thing to me that I always had the issue with is, like, it's that specific move. I didn't even care about Zimmerman. The guy came up, he had been really good at AAA, and he gave you exactly what you needed out of him.
Well, he's had 170 pitches and didn't even touch that.
It was the Schuster call-up / usage that was the problem for me. If you had put Gastelum into that exact same situation, I think it looks quite different yesterday. If you had called up Bryson Motts and he was ready to go give you a couple of innings, I think that looks a lot different. Quinn Matthews, if you had decided to make the move earlier and you call him up to go with a piggyback situation there, I think it looks a lot different. They made the move that I think put them into the spot that they were ultimately in, T-Bone.
Yeah, I agree with that. And on McGreevy, I mean, Alex said it perfectly. That guy's a stopper to where even if he doesn't, say, give you a quality start, he at least gives you enough innings to be able to get it to your bullpen, right? I mean, there's only been 5 times this year he's not recorded an out into the 6th inning out of 18 starts. And that's pretty impressive. And the only reason he didn't do that in most of those games was because it was a couple of his blow-ups. So every time he takes them out, it makes the life easier on a manager to know, okay, at least in 3 days or whatever it may be, I've got my guy that's going to go 6 innings for me. And I think that's the benefit of Michael McGreevy. I said this last year in September when he came up. I told you guys I thought he'd be the MVP of the pitching staff this season. And the reason for it was because I felt like that guy was predictable and was going to be able to eat innings for you. His stuff's not anything to write home about, but he does the job, right? He paints corners, he gets outs, and sometimes he actually surprises you and has more strikeouts than you would expect, like he did last night. He's the perfect, like, number 4 starter that is willing to give you innings. He's going to maybe not be a guy that you would prefer to have on the mound in a playoff series, but you know in the regular season, he's going to eat innings and keep the bullpen fresh.
And I would push back on the idea that you prefer not to have him on the mound in a playoff series. I think he's fine as a playoff starter.
Man, I'd take him in a playoff series.
You know, like, is it the most overwhelming stuff? No, but that guy's a gamer.
Yep. That's the part for me. It's like, I feel like that dude would show up regardless of his talent level because of the situation at hand.
I just trust him. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my honest to God view of Michael McGreevy. I know what the underlying numbers say. They say, hey, all of this is smoke and mirrors. I think that's true. I think this is smoke and mirrors, and I think sometimes there are guys that just know how to pitch like that. They are exceptions to the rule. Michael McGreevy, to me, is an exception. I think that guy is just, he's going to outperform what the underlying numbers say. Does that mean he's always going to have a 3.01 ERA? No, I don't think that's realistic. But sub 4, I think that's in play. He could be like what Michael McGreevy, or excuse me, what Michael Wacha has been in his career. Stuff's not overwhelming, but it's pretty darn good. And much like Michael Wacha, what I think is changing things for McGreevy is that changeup. I think that has really opened up his arsenal this year. His usage of it has increased in a huge way, and I think it makes him the best version of himself. The other thing that stood out last night, Alex, was the power that we saw on display from the Cardinals, and it was Alec Burleson, it was Jordan Walker, and Jose Fermin getting in on the action against a lefty. You've got some nice right-handed bats now that can go out there against left-handed pitchers. Velazquez, Fermin, they're really helping you in that regard. But when you're able to get that kind of power out of Burley and Walker, everything about this offense just looks different. That's what it looked like for the first 6 weeks of the season.
So you're telling me when the Cardinals offense has power that they can actually win baseball games?
You mean slug baby slug still works?
It's weird how that all works out.
Kudos to Burley, by the way. He had been terrible against lefties, and he was awesome yesterday.
Was what I was just going to say. Walker's just it doesn't surprise me anymore. Burley doing that against a lefty was the part for me that it was like, hey, man, props to that guy, because in situations like that, I'm kind of laughing at the idea of him coming in against a lefty and using that bat against a left-handed pitcher, because it's just it's a rally killer. And Burleson comes up with a massive hit against a lefty. That was one of those moments that it was like, hey, props to that guy for being able to push through on that one. But you're right. I mean, this whole season has been, you either play perfect baseball or your offense just goes out there and produces the power that they can just run away with the games, because it's just where your pitching staff is at. May and McGreevy will give you competitive starts. The other guys, it's up in the air. You have to play perfect baseball or your offense just has to be dominant from 1 through 4.
Yeah, when the Cardinals are trying from a pitching level and they have their top 4 hitting, they are
unbeatable.
They're a pretty good team, right? And I think this is the point that we were talking about yesterday. Yeah, they were 1-7, I think, going into last night, or 1-6 against Milwaukee Brewers.
1-7.
They were 10 games above 500 against everybody else, right? So they've got themselves a chance to remain in the playoff race, and that's what I was saying yesterday when we were talking about should they sell, should they not sell. As long as the top 4 keep hitting, and I have no reason to think that that's not going to happen. Guys are going to go through slumps, right? Herrera is going through his version of a slump right now. And I said his version because he's still getting on base at a ridiculous clip.
What a slump it is.
As long as
so
all
much fun to
4
watch.
don't go cold at the same time like you saw a couple weeks ago, they're going to be in every game long as the pitching doesn't just implode on itself.
You got another one tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. You're going up against a righty this time around. It's Logan Henderson on the mound for the Brewers. Just another one. Another
what, a
one
3.5 ERA?
Hey, well, they got Mizorowski and Harrison.
2.75 ERA.
That's fine.
Over the last month that he pitched, he has since been down to AAA. But in May, this is a guy that was sent down. He went 21 innings and 4 starts and had a 2.1 ERA. They said, not good enough for us here. We'll send you down to AAA. So Logan Henderson on the mound tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals. They are trying to salvage 2 out of 5 against the Milwaukee Brewers. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys want to get involved in the show, there are 2 great ways to do so. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. Also, we have the YouTube chat, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. Coming up next, big news in Major League Baseball, more specifically, big news for the St. Louis Cardinals, as Jordan Walker has accepted an invitation to the Home Run Derby, and at least one of us here on the show, you'll never guess who, isn't happy about it. We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN. alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. That's not the audio that I was looking for.
Burley's in?
I want to point out.
That's on me.
Unbelievable.
BK says, let's play the Walker home run.
That's on me.
Walker home run.
And Burley's
You know how I
hitting
normally
bombs.
say, Alex, my motto on this show? Take the credit, pass the blame. No, not on this
I was
one.
bringing that one up because I knew who was going to get the blame on
I
that one.
looked at T-Bone, too, and T-Bone just immediately looked at you. He's like, it's not on me, man. God,
Audio
we're good.
courtesy of Cardinals TV. Burleson did hit a home run last night. How about this? Jordan Walker's going to be hitting a whole lot of home runs in the Derby as he has officially announced that he is going to be a member of the 2026 Home Run Derby. This is amazing, Alex. The idea, I wish he could have done this last year because it was in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. But for him to have
He was in the minors last year at that time.
I know, right? For him to have, speaking of that, the 2-year stretch that he had prior to this year, and then for him to now be the first Cardinal with 70 home runs, or excuse me, 70 RBIs at the break since Albert Pujols, and to be involved in the Home Run Derby now as an all-star in that event, it's hard to overstate just how remarkable of a turnaround this is. I remember we did this on the Redbird Report, T-Bone, where we were talking about what would it even look like if Jordan Walker were to be able to get this thing back on track and he becomes a respectable player, much less a superstar. And trying to find a comparison for him was nearly impossible because of how horrible, I mean horrible, he had been. He was a negative wins above replacement player for the first 3 years of his major league career. That guy becoming this, turning into this caliber of player where he earned an all-star game appearance and earned a home run derby appearance is amazing. And full kudos to the player, full kudos to the team for everything that they did to get that guy back on track. And Alex is now going to tell you about why he should not be participating in this year's Home Run Derby.
He should not be participating in it. This is all great, and I'm glad he's had his turnaround, but don't screw up Jordan Walker. Don't do it. This is going to screw up the swing, and all of this MVP fun that we're having is going to be gone because you want to have one night of watching Jordan Walker hit home runs. Have you looked at how many home runs Cal Raleigh has hit this year?
Well, yeah, but how many home runs did he hit after the
I don't know if that
Derby
one's
last
because
year?
of the Derby.
Slump. He's hit 9. Don't.
Oh, he's been awful, to be fair.
Don't do it. I don't like it. It screws up their swing. You do something different at the Home Run Derby, and then once you come back to the season, then you're trying to replicate it.
Do you know how many home runs Cal Raleigh hit after the Home Run Derby of last year?
I don't care. Slump.
In 65 games, he hit 22 home runs.
Slump.
That is not a slump. For every other player in Major League Baseball, that would have been an unbelievable year.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I think this is a complete and total fallacy.
Cool. So when he struggles in the second half, and we're gonna come back to this when you were celebrating his Home Run Derby.
If Jordan Walker struggles in the second half, it will be because he was not going to have this kind of year.
Oh, stop it. No, it's because he participated in the Home Run Derby.
I think it's nonsense. A lot of the
I
time,
think the Derby screws up their swings.
A lot of the time, guys go to the Home Run Derby because they had an unbelievable first half of the season. It was a surprising first half of the season, and then regression hits, and they're not quite as good in the second half, and we explain that by saying the Home Run Derby screwed up their swing. I don't believe it. Last year, Junior Caminero, 23 home runs in the first 91 games of the season. That's what it was prior to the All-Star break when he participated in the Home Run Derby. And then in the second half, when he played 63 games, he had 22 home runs. He was the exact same player, only slightly better. Cal Raleigh last year was outstanding before the Derby and after the Derby. Like, this is not something that you typically would expect where it's going to ruin a guy's swing and they come out in the second half and they become problematic. It's a fallacy. We fall for it because it does happen occasionally where guys fall off in the second half. Sure. As you would see also with guys that did not participate in the Home Run Derby. Baseball's hard. People fall off.
You keep believing that, big boy. But when the MVP that is giving you this magical season, his swing is broken because he participated in the Home Run Derby, we will remember this conversation. Don't do it.
Somebody on the text line brings up a fair point. Albert Pujols said the home run derby was actually the catalyst for him having that historic second half of the season.
He was also 42.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to do it speaks to this.
But I think we've also
2009, it jacked him up. He went from 32 home runs to 15.
I think it falls somewhere in between because
15 home runs in 60 games, Alex, is really good.
Not the Albert Pujols, though, that you're used to.
I think I'm somewhere in between because I do think it can mess with a player's swing, but I think it's a matter of the player, right? And we'll see how Jordan Walker responds to it.
It's not as though Jordan Walker has to give full effort on every swing for it to go 450 feet.
Because there are cases where Albert says it helped his swing, but there are cases in the past of guys that have said that it has messed with their swing a little bit. So
I think that's an excuse.
I think it's probably true.
Always right, everyone.
I think it's probably true. I think there is something to having to change your swing for the home run derby. Now, to your point on Walker, like this guy's built like a tank. Like he may not have to change his swing much. I get where Alex is coming from because I do worry that it will mess with his swing for the second half. But I kind of want to see him in it. I'll just be honest. This guy's unbelievable. If he wants to go do this, man, this guy went through hell for the last 2 years. He wants to go be a part of the home run derby. Go get it. Like you've earned that opportunity. So good for him for accepting the invite. Good for Major League Baseball, by the way, for putting one of the youngest stars that's been a breakout candidate for all the great storylines for the home run derby to put him in it this year. I'm totally fine with him doing it. Now, I will monitor his second half to see if there's something with the swing that might be why he may struggle if that occurs.
Yeah,
but I don't care. I'm willing to. I think they're kind of already maybe.
Here's an actual sabermetric review.
Oh, shut
Does
up,
the home run
nerd.
derby screw up your swing?
Nerd.
Is this from Fangraphs?
This is from SABR, saber.org. Home run derby curse. Fact or fiction? We have no choice but to conclude that it is fiction. If we consider all the ways that statistics should behave if there's no curse, we find they consistently match that model. Certainly, some players will have a decline in power hitting statistics from the first half of the season to the second after participating in the Derby, but it is clear from our analysis that this would have occurred for those players regardless
it was clear
of whether or not they chose to participate.
Our analysis in the sabermetrics tells us that it's clear this is not a real thing. It's just a false. It's a farce. I'm glad I looked at the sabermetrics to prove it.
From Doug's fat friend, BK, it's an excuse. Also, BK, couldn't hit a softball over the fence while standing on second base. That's why I know it's an excuse.
I hit the fence.
I can't hit a home run no matter
You
the
know what?
situation.
When I
Zero home
participated
runs,
in that,
too.
it screwed up my entire softball season the rest of the year because I was trying to hit home runs.
In all
I was
seriousness,
a singles guy.
what a cool moment for Jordan Walker.
Was Pujols the last one prior to the 2020?
For the Cardinals.
Who was the one after or prior to him? Was it Pujols?
Might have been Holiday.
Because
I think Holiday
2009
did it.
was when Pujols did it.
I think Holiday because I think
Did Holiday do it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Tyler
Holiday
O'Neill
did
never
in like
did it, right?
15. No, he'd get hurt doing it.
I don't know.
I don't think
answer to
Holiday
your
did.
question.
I swear he did as an all-star with the Cardinals.
I don't think so. I think Pujols was the last one to do it.
Well, I agree he was the last one to do it.
Matt Holiday did it in 2011.
Yeah.
Carlos Beltran in 2012.
Oh, I forgot about
wow,
that.
I did not remember that.
He participated in the event as well. And then, I think those are the last guys to do so prior to Pujols back in
I loved
22.
Beltran with the Cardinals. I do not remember that home run derby.
I don't either. But, yeah, that's, according to Baseball Reference, those are the most recent Cardinals
Probably
to
because it
participate in the
screwed up the
Derby.
swing of Carlos Beltran. Only a 440 slug in the second half.
That's really good.
He was a 540 slug in the first half.
That's
Smaller sample
normal
size.
regression.
Nope. Not normal regression. It would have been
I
the same
gotta say,
pace.
And that
if he
means
would've-
he's right
not-
around a
It would've been
500 slugging
yeah,
percentage,
same-
which is excellent.
It would have been the
I gotta
same
say-
pace, if not better, if he wouldn't have done the home run derby.
You're not helping your case here, man. Everybody you've
there's
pointed
no-
to has had a
there's no
good
case
second
I
half.
have to worry
the one
about.
I would point to would be James Wood. That guy had a terrible second half last year, and he participated in the home run derby. I think last year. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he participated in the home run derby and was awful in the second half.
Oh, 2012 was the one that was at Kauffman. I remember that one because
don't remember Beltran?
Robinson Cano hit 0 home runs.
See, screwed up his swing.
Royals fans were furious that he was involved with it that year instead of them taking some Royals player. to participate. They had 0 Royals represented in the home run derby in Kansas City. Cano was included, and he hit 0. They booed him the entire time, and then he responded by hitting 0 home runs.
Way to not show up.
Yeah.
But the Royals never had anybody that, I mean, who knows? Home run derby, I guess you could profile well on that, but they never had a ton of power on that roster, right?
Billy
Hosmer?
Butler.
Oh, is Butler still on that team?
This was 2012. Yeah, this is prior to Hosmer. Salvi had just reached the big leagues.
Because Salvi's done it, I know.
Yeah, I think it was, they were hoping for Billy Butler. Yeah, Billy Butler hit 30 home runs that year for the Royals.
And
so
I guess Billy said he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to screw his swing up.
He wanted to. He asked to be a part of it, and Major League Baseball said no.
We don't want to screw your swing up.
That's shocking because now it's like a given you put somebody.
How does Major League Baseball tell somebody no who has hit 30 home runs?
And it's just kind of. It's kind of just what they usually do is put someone for that home team and the home run derby. It used to be that was like you would have, if you had a bullpen arm, for example, from the local team, he would close the All-Star game out.
Sure.
And they've kind of gone away from that. I don't know how they didn't put Butler. That's shocking to me.
Yeah, that's dumb.
The next year, they had David Wright participate at Citi Field. The year after that, they had Brian Dozier participate at Target Field. Like, they learned their lesson from that season, and I think this has become a response to that particular home run derby, where every year you get a hometown player that's participating, and I think that's smart. They should do that. Like, if there was one here in St. Louis and the Cardinals didn't have a great power hitter, like, Alec Burleson should participate, right? Just because, like, you want somebody to play to the audience. You want that crowd to be truly engaged in the event, and the best way to do so is to get a guy that they can all pull for. And I think it's cool that they will have that in Philadelphia, but also that Jordan Walker is going to be a part of the event, despite Alex hating the idea.
I just don't want to ruin our MVP. I love the idea of it. I just don't want to ruin our MVP.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. But coming up next, Alex, there is an interesting article over on ESPN.com ranking the top 10 running backs in the league heading into 2026. Curious if you guys have any different takes on this. We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals beat the Brewers yesterday 5-1 in Game 5 of their 5-game set against Milwaukee is tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Andre Palante will be on the mound for St. Louis. And news out of the NHL, the Anaheim Ducks will match the offer sheet that was signed by Leo Carlsson, the 5-year $90 million contract that was given to him by the Flyers. The Ducks will equal that offer sheet. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Omaha! We're going to talk NFL,
talk
but
running
there's
backs.
big news in the NHL, as T-Bone just mentioned during the break. The Ducks are set to match the Flyers' record-setting 5-year, $90 million offer sheet for center Leo Carlsson. $18 million per year. It will now surpass Kirill Kaprizov's $17 million per year contract with the Minnesota Wild.
I love the owners of the Ducks' response. Quote, matching the offer sheet was an easy decision. Okay, so it took you 6 days. And as Pat Verbeek intelligently left enough cap space to give us the ability to retain Leo. Yeah, but he intelligently didn't give you enough cap space to retain the other guy on your roster that you need to lock up.
They have $9 million in cap space remaining now, and a guy named Cutter Gauthier, who had, I believe, 40 goals last season, and is now, according to multiple reports, asking for $15 million per year.
Oh, and they also only have 7 defensemen locked up under contract, and 4 of them are on entry-level deals that played in the AHL last year. What can go wrong, guys?
Hey, Pat's got this.
Intelligently, he's done a great job.
They're going to have to remove, if they decide to sign Cutter Gauthier to a $15 million contract. I don't think he's getting that, but whatever. If he were to get something approaching that, they need to move $6 million off of their books, which is basically Chris Kreider's money.
Or Alex Killorn's money.
Yeah, good luck.
Yep. And both have modified no trades, and both are 35 plus that had a bad year.
Okay, let's start out with this, Alex. The news, Leo Carlsson, $18 million matched by the Anaheim Ducks. That's a huge dollar figure. I think it's probably the right move for them. I don't think you can allow this kind of a talent to walk out the door at the age of 21. I know it limits you. I know it is a difficult way to build your roster when you have a guy making this kind of money and you're locked in for years to come. But if you don't have him, where are you at? What can you do? And yes, you get the 4 first-round draft picks. Okay, but you've got to be able to turn that into something. And if Leo Carlsson is on Philadelphia, those picks aren't going to be great, most likely, because that is a team that's on the upswing, and they're already a potential playoff contender. So you're talking about picks 15 to 30. Okay, great. Congrats. You've added 4 of those. That doesn't have a ton of value across the NHL. Do you think it was the right move to match? Let's start there.
Yes, I do. You have to. You invested a high pick on him. You weren't going to be, although if you didn't have Leo Carlsson, I actually could argue you would be bad enough to get a high draft pick next year. But you brought in Joel Quenneville to win now. You've made moves accordingly to try and win now. You just made the playoffs. You have to match this. The problem isn't matching it. The problem is you screwed up by not signing him to a contract that would have saved you somewhere between $3 and $5 million compared to now at $18 million. But yeah, I mean, the lifespan of your organization is now on Leo Carlsson. And that, to me, is a little problematic. But you had to match this. And honestly, I kind of wonder if Philadelphia is celebrating a little bit of like, oof, we wanted him, but $18 million would have been really tough to try and create our roster around. I mean, I don't think Anaheim is a playoff team with him at $18 million.
Maybe not this year. There's just so much that can change in the next few seasons. To me, this kind of a move is not about 2026. I don't think they're better right now than they were at the end of last season.
I think it's got to be about 2026 or 2027, because if you're going to give in, I mean, I don't know if Cutter's going to get 15. He's going to get north of 12.
Probably.
And if I'm giving Carlsson $18 million, Cutter Gauthier 12 or let's say $13 million, and now you've got Lacombe locked in for $9 million, and you've got Mintyukov at $7 million. I mean, there's cap space, but there's just not a lot of wiggle room to go out there and bring in guys that raise the ceiling of your roster, because depth matters once you get into the postseason, and they've got guys that are on bigger contracts, at least for this year, that, yeah, it opens up next year, but then more guys need contracts and more money.
Understood. A couple of years from now, they should be fine when it comes to cap space. Right, like there's flexibility. In 2028, the cap is expected to be about $125 million. If you're paying 33 combined, let's say they go up to the top dollar figure. It's 33 combined, 15 for Cutter Gauthier, 18 for Leo Carlsson. It's a lot of money. You still have $90 million to work with. If you can't put together a roster with that $90 million, that's on you as a general manager. And the reason that I bring this up, Alex, is because if you let Leo Carlsson walk, you now are back to square one where you don't have a number one center. And we've been in this spot here in St. Louis. If you don't have a number one center, you're lost. Everything is about finding that guy. If you don't have a number one defenseman, you're lost. Everything is about finding that guy. They at least have the starting points of building up this roster. So I think they had no choice really but to match here. It, yes, puts them into a tough spot, but I would rather be in a tough spot than meandering around in the wilderness once again, as the Anaheim Ducks have been in the past.
You need him to play like an $18 million player, and I don't think he is. We'll find out as he continues to develop, because he is only 21 years old, but they're just putting themselves in a really tough spot. But again,
Agreed.
I'm acknowledging that by saying you had to do it.
So I think this reminds me, and this is what we're going to talk about later today, but we'll go ahead and do it here. It reminds me so much of the Christian Kirk contract in the NFL. And let me explain this. Christian Kirk is not as good of a wide receiver as Leo Carlsson is as a center. But Christian Kirk, you remember, the Jaguars, I think it was, were completely desperate at the time to go out there and get a wide receiver. He was young. He had previously had a history of somewhat level of success, and he was the best receiver on the market that offseason. And so he reset the market for wide receivers. I think it was like $20 million a year for Christian Kirk. And when A.J. Brown saw that, he was like, okay, if Christian Kirk is worth 20, I'm worth closer to 30. And then Tyreek Hill saw that and said, well, if he's worth 20, I'm worth around 30 as well. And that was the offseason that we saw a bunch of these wide receivers. I think Stephon Diggs that offseason was traded as well. We saw a bunch of these wide receivers traded and go to new teams to get those contracts that they were seeking. And the reason that I bring this up as it pertains to Leo Carlsson in the NHL, I think this is going to have a similar effect. There will be players across the league that look at Leo Carlsson the way that Alex just did and say, okay, if that guy is worth 18, I'm worth 20 plus because I'm better than Leo Carlsson. The other thing it does is it raises the floor for guys. Now his teammate in Cutter Gauthier can look at it and say, okay, if he's worth 18, yeah, maybe I'm not Leo Carlsson. I'm a little bit older. I don't have quite the same history. And I yes, scored 40 goals, but it's kind of 1 year of real production here in the NHL. I'll be worth 15 now. That's my going rate. And if Cutter Gauthier is worth 15, to localize this here to St. Louis, what does that mean for Jimmy Snuggerud next year if he scores 35 goals? Does he now say, okay, look at what Cutter Gauthier got last offseason where he was at $15 million for one really high level of production season? I just scored 35 goals for you here in St. Louis, playing on the top line alongside Robert Thomas. I'm worth 13. That's where this starts to increase not only the ceiling for guys across the league where you're going to see superstars asking for more, it also has a trickle-down effect for the mid-tier players that are hitting similar levels of their contract status, and you could see a higher asking price from some of those guys like the Jimmy Snuggerud.
You absolutely could, and not this isn't to say it to degrade the players, because go get your money if you can get it. But I do think you're going to see a difference in certain players. There's going to be a group that says, get me the most money possible. And there's going to be a group that says, I want a lot of money, but I will take somewhat of a discount to keep a competitive roster. Like, I think Cale Makar is going to be underpaid considering what he is worth. He should be a $21 million player.
He might be.
My guess is he's going to be somewhere between like 16 or 17.
Oh, I don't feel that way.
I don't think he's going to
20.
I don't think he's going to ask for that money because I think he wants to stay competitive.
I think we're in a new era in the NHL to where I wonder if he would do it.
I just don't.
My guess, Cale Makar's getting $20 million because if they don't give it to him, somebody will.
Maybe, but
and he's already won a cup. He's had a ton of success. There's really nothing left for him to prove. Now it's time to reset the market for other defensemen. This is another thing that kind of goes under the radar in the NHL. The PA pushes for this, for their best players to take a new deal when they're hitting unrestricted free agency like Cale Makar is about to be. They've got to reset the market.
I get it. I think you guys are going to be surprised, though, because some guys just want to stay on a roster where they think it's competitive and they can build around it. Like the other one that I think you're going to see probably take a little bit less than what you typically get on this one. God, I'm blanking on the name of it right now. I just had it a little bit ago. Celebrini. Celebrini is worth the max, and I would be surprised if he takes the max. I think some guys
There's
where
less
they're at.
pressure for him, though, because this was just reset.
Well, I understand,
The
but
defense
Carr's
market
27.
I know, but the defense market has not yet been reset. The forward market just was by Carlsson at $18 million.
Well,
and
it
so
was
there's
reset
less
by Kaprizov, though, when he did that.
17. But now we get a reset again. For the defense market, we have not yet seen that. That's for Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes to do.
I think
those are the two guys that I would anticipate do that.
I would be surprised if they do. I think it's going to be lesser than what you guys think because they want to try and keep competitive rosters. And that's just
what do you think he asks for, Cale Makar?
I don't know what he's going to ask for. I think they settle on something like $16 million.
Yeah, I bet you it's above that.
Because, I mean, Nathan McKinnon's making 12. Nathan McKinnon is not worth $12 million. Nathan McKinnon is worth more than $12 million.
Well, right now, Nathan McKinnon is making
he just
12.
signed this contract a couple of years ago.
The reason that I bring that up, that was before this cap spike. Dude, the landscape has changed. Whatever we used to know to be true with contracts in the NHL, that's over.
They knew where the cap was going, though, when he signed that contract.
Understood.
They knew it was going up.
It was going to explode in terms of the salaries the way that it has, as quick as it has. And that's why I think everything about this has changed. And at the time, Nathan McKinnon, he signed this deal in 23. He did not know that by 2026, we would be talking about this kind of money entering the NHL. He didn't know. How could you? None of us did. And the explosion that we have seen in player salaries, you don't put the toothpaste back into the tube here. This is what happened in the NBA like 5 or 6 years ago. And now you get middle of the rotation guys that are making $30+ million a year. The LA Lakers just paid a player who I think the vast majority of our audience could not name out of a lineup, in Austin Reeves, $40 million per year. He's a really good player, don't get me wrong. Is he worth $40 million a year? Well, to the Lakers, they said yes. That's what's coming for the NHL. Not to that quite to that degree in terms of the salaries. That's crazy. But the exponential increase in player salaries across the league, we've arrived there. And now everything changes in terms of team building, the way that these rosters are formatted, and the numbers that guys are going to be asking for once they hit free agency.
Yeah, I think you're lumping them all into one category, and I don't see it that way. I see two different categories. There's guys that want to get as much as possible, and there's other guys that I think look at it and say, I'm going to get a lot, but I'm going to take less what my value is so that I can try and win and stay competitive with my teams.
I think there will be some of those. That absolutely exists. Sidney Crosby took a little less to try to make it work with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but like by taking less now in the NHL, less for Cale Makar might be 18. Might be just getting what we just saw for Leo Carlsson.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, he's worth the most money possible, and he's going to take less so he can keep his team competitive.
He maybe. I'm not as confident on that as you seem to be right now. I just don't. I don't think we have any evidence.
I think if there's a sport to do it, I think if there's a sport where I would feel more confident saying that, it would be the NHL, because we have seen this over time with guys willing to take a little bit less. Now, there's not.
When we say a little less, though, like that used to be $1 million when guys were making 8 or 9. Now we're talking about numbers.
A little less versus a guy who is the best player in the National Hockey League, the MVP of their team. Him taking $18 million if the max is 20, that's significant when you're the best player in the league. But I don't even think 18. I think the precedent was set with the Avalanche. Even if it was a flat cap, it was still a less percentage than what that guy is valued as one of the best players in the National Hockey League.
Look back at what guys were making when McKinnon took that deal.
But McKinnon at the time when he took that deal was the best player in the NHL. And he could have gotten the max.
But he
could have reset the market.
He did. Like
not at 12 mil. There were guys that were making more than that.
In 2023, I think that was the highest
I don't think so.
mark in the NHL. Like, these things have changed so much over the last couple of years. And the salaries that we're seeing across the league now, it's just different than what it was in 2022. So I think that's the thing that we have to keep in mind here is, man, this stuff. Yeah, Connor McDavid at $12.5 million was the highest paid player in the league in 2022. So he matched what Connor McDavid was at that point in time, basically. So it was maybe not a resetting of the market, but he got the exact same as the highest paid player in the NHL at the time. And now the highest paid player in the NHL is making $18 million a year. I think that's the starting point for any Cale Makar conversation. And that's going to change the way that teams are able to play. It's going to change the way that you construct these rosters. And just, again, to localize it, I think it makes the position that the Blues are in really interesting because you have Robert Thomas, who's probably now worth about 15 under the current status of the NHL. And you have Dylan Holloway, who might be worth like 12 at 7. You have Thomas at 8. And if you're able to lock, you got Broberg at 8, and he's probably worth 15-ish now. That's when you start to be able to build a really competitive team when you've got guys locked up long-term for like 60% of what they're actually worth on the open market.
Yeah, that's why I think Snuggerud is going to be the main one that they focus in on. And it'll be interesting to see how they approach it because they do kind of have that precedent with their roster where they look at Robert Thomas as the highest paid, but that's not going to last when you go forward in the National Hockey League. So I think for Snuggerud to approach that area, you do have to be a 70-plus point producer. So it's on him to get to that level. But as they've said in the past, man, like if you produce, it's worth the money. It's just a matter of do they get a deal done or does an offer sheet come in at that point?
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Coming up next, we're going to get into some questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, get them in now on the Air Comfort Service text line here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, guys, Dolly tweeted that the trade talks up in Vancouver are really picking up on Elias Pettersson. Do you think that the Blues should still be in on that and potentially offer a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky?
No. You already made your risk trade with McTavish. I'm not going to do it for Pettersson anymore.
I agree.
My choices were McTavish or Pettersson, and they chose McTavish, so I'm not trading Dvorsky for a center.
From the 314, do you guys think that the Flyers will pivot to Fantilli now?
No, they can't. Oh, the Flyers for an offer. I thought the Ducks, and I'm like, no, that's crazy.
I'd do it. Screw it. Whatever.
Yeah. Piss everybody off. Why
for
not?
real, like, what's the downside? You don't get it, and you're in the exact same position that you were yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, if you're willing to throw hell, I think, he can't go to Bedard anymore with his shoulder injury, so stay away from that. Well, I guess you could. Chicago may say, yeah, sure, take him. He's been injured too much. I mean, look, if they want a number one center and you feel like Fantilli's there, go for it. I don't think I'd do the 18 mil because I thought the 18 mil was a little risky with Carlsson, but if you already played it once, why not?
Their pivot might be Pettersson. Right, I mean that might be what if trade talks are picking up Vancouver. Now, why would that be? That would be my response.
I don't know if Rick Tocchet's going after Elias Pettersson.
Maybe not. Well,
that's like Berube going for Kyrou.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't think of that part of it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From Cottleville Comb Over, what would it take to get Ryan or Lewis from Minnesota? Would the Cardinals do it? Helps now and in the future. And should they do it? I don't think they're going to do it for Joe Ryan. I'd like to see it. I would celebrate it. I just don't know what the asking price would look like there. And then for Royce Lewis, there's so much risk involved in that I probably wouldn't do it given what the asking price is.
I wouldn't either for Lewis. I also don't think Minnesota will. I think they're going to hang on to him and see if he can bounce back and then listen to him. Also, they're kind of in it right now. It sounds like their owner doesn't want to sell, so they might not even be sellers.
Amazing.
I would love Joe Ryan, but I'm with you. I don't think the Cardinals will pay the price. I'll tell you a team I think might be going after Joe Ryan, Milwaukee. They may not be willing to give up the assets to get Skubal. I could see where they would go after Ryan. He has another year of control, helps them for now, and then if they wanted to, they could even flip him in the offseason like they normally would.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From Starvin Marvin, guys, I think Bedard's going to be the one that gets the insane contract. Top players on bad teams, not the Stanley Cup contenders. What do you think he ultimately gets?
With that shoulder injury? I really don't know. My guess is he's going to ask for 18 because Carlsson just got it. I don't know if he's produced to the same level as Carlsson has for Anaheim. But, yeah, I mean, my guess is probably somewhere between 15 and 18 mil.
Yeah, I would say 15.
Yeah, I think the shoulder injury, I think you're right, hurts him a little bit for this contract negotiation.
Nice.
And he's had issues dealing with injuries in the past.
Yeah, he's been hurt the last 2 years.
Tiny.
I don't know if he's played an entire season.
Yeah,
That's the thing with Bedard. I don't think Bedard's a center. I think Bedard's going to have to be a winger at some point because he can't stay healthy. Yeah, 68, 82, 69.
From Dim Hogs, who do you guys think is the face of St. Louis sports right now? It felt like it was Yachty for a really long time, but the seat might be empty currently.
Jordan Walker.
I think he's currently the favorite to be that.
Yeah. And if Thomas has a 100-point season, I think Thomas can put himself into that seat too.
I thought this was a really interesting question posed by Cam earlier today on TMA. He was awesome with them.
Love Cam.
He asked, who's the top dog for the Cardinals long term? Is it J.J. Weatherholt or is it Jordan Walker? How do you guys feel about that? In terms of that doesn't necessarily mean best player, but most popular among fans, the guy that's face of the franchise, all that stuff. Who would you guys deem that to be
Walker.
Between the two?
Power always plays in St. Louis.
Does it?
I think so.
I'm truly asking.
I think so. I mean, think of the top dogs.
JJ just feels so Cardinals-y.
That's why I wonder if it'd be JJ. Walker would be my guy, but I also like the things like St. Louis doesn't like, right? I love home runs and strikeouts. They love hard effort and defense.
Scrappy little dudes.
I think it might be JJ.
If Walker continues to do what he's doing this season for his career, I think it's Walker.
I think so, too.
That's Pujols level.
But if there's any little dip in that, it would be
if he falls back down to earth, then I think it goes to Weatherholt.
I think Walker has so much charisma, and he is such a... We've talked about this in the past. There's an it factor to certain baseball stars, and hopefully this makes sense. Jordan Walker is more like the Aaron Judge, JJ Weatherholt is more like the Mike Trout in terms of their stardom.
Oh, see, I think Jordan's that way for me. Mike Trout. I don't know that he's got the charisma, in my opinion.
Let me explain this a little bit then. Walker, when he hits the ball, it looks different. It feels different. It sounds different. He also just literally looks different in that he's 6'6" and 250 pounds, and he runs like the wind. There are just not a whole lot of guys on planet Earth that look that way, that hit the ball that way, and that can play baseball the way that he does. With JJ, he's just really good at everything. Like, his best tool is what?
I'd say his batter's eye.
Yeah.
Is that something that is sexy? Like, it's a great tool.
It's
Don't get me
sexy
wrong.
in St. Louis, but compared to what Jordan Walker does, it doesn't come close.
And that's like the Mike Trout thing to me was always that guy's just excellent at everything. He's so good at everything. And maybe you could argue his speed was the thing that like jumps off the page, but he was not somebody necessarily that, for whatever reason, whether it was the personality, his playing style, his size, whatever, he was not somebody that just took off in the way that Bryce Harper did or Shohei Ohtani did or Aaron Judge did, where it transcended beyond baseball. And I think Walker is more of that, where J.J. Weatherholt is more of the traditional.
I will say, though, like
really
people that are
player.
texting in they make great points. When it was Pujols and Yachty, I think Yachty was up there with Pujols, and Yachty didn't have the power.
I do not. I think Albert was always the face of the franchise.
I don't disagree.
And then Yachty became that after Albert left.
But it felt like you always brought up Yachty's name when you brought up Pujols' name in St. Louis for those.
I thought it was the
pushes.
MV3 first, before Yachty even became a part of that
conversation. Well, yeah, but the MV3
was
before Yachty.
I mean,
Yachty came up at the end of the MV3 because
correct.
Roland was gone after 06, wasn't he?
But then you
06
had
or 07, I don't remember.
I think Albert was the face until 11.
Oh, I'm not. I just think Yachty's closer than we're giving it credit for.
You think?
Yeah,
I do too.
I think
Yeah.
the defense that Yachty provided and how he had that just aggressive personality, and when you go beyond Yachty, I mean, it was
that's
really
a guy
it
that
was Ozzy.
You guys really think
I would say
Albert
Yachty
was
had like charisma, like that guy, like the fire that he brought to the table. Like that's my
when
thing
I
with
think
Walker.
of charisma, I think of that personality.
Yeah, I don't think much of like Walker's personality. He's a really good kid and a great talker. But
think
when I see him on the field, like I just see a guy
Wynn's
doing
got
his
more
business
charisma
like
than
Albert
Walker.
did.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
But Wynn doesn't have to play to match
But
it.
I think Weatherholt's closer to Wynn than he is to Walker.
See, I think Weatherhold's closer to.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like
charisma wise?
I think he's with Walker. Chris, I think they're both just kind of they're playing baseball, doing their thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like Goldie, where Goldie was just there doing his thing.
I think he's more fun.
Who? Walker
JJ.
Or JJ?
JJ's more fun.
I really
He's got more
enjoyed
personality.
Goldie, but I was one of the few that really love a good Gold Glove first baseman. So I get that one from that perspective.
Yeah. The fact that we can even have this conversation right now speaks to how much different of a season this is. Because, boy, there was a long time where we were like, who's the next Cardinals young player that can be the face of the franchise? And now you've got two that really could be that. And you also have Ivan Herrera and Alec Burleson and Rainiel Rodriguez, who aren't that.
Josh Baez.
But they can be core members of your organization moving forward as well. And that's what this season ultimately was all about. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, ESPN and specifically Jeff Passan put together an interesting piece earlier today on the best match and the dream match scenario for every team in Major League Baseball at this year's deadline. Who do they have for the Cardinals? We'll tell you next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So earlier today, Jeff Passan put together a piece, a good one, over on ESPN.com, breaking down the best match and the dream match scenario for every team at the trade deadline. So just to give you an example, right at the top of this list, they had for the Seattle Mariners, right-handed bat is what they're looking for. The best match is Taylor Ward, outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles. The dream match would be Wilson Contreras of the Boston Red Sox. So as you go down a little bit further and get into the lower levels of the playoff standings, for the St. Louis Cardinals, they had their weakness listed as rotation depth. First, do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's the biggest weakness currently on the St. Louis Cardinals?
I'd say bullpen depth is the biggest weakness on the Cardinals.
I would say rotation depth. I think bullpen-wise, it's right up there, but I'm willing to see what like Gaston looks like. Stanek at times does look good. I would say there's no answers internally for the rotation.
I think you can find guys for the bullpen. Like, as we get further into the season, I think there are more answers for that. Bryson Mott's, his stuff might play up better in the bullpen, and they may be more willing to make that move as we get closer to September. Like, when you get those call-ups, the extra 2 players, you could see Quinn Matthews fit into that mix, or Bryson Mott's, or Luis Gastelum might at that point be in more of a leverage spot. Maybe Mason Miller is a guy that can fit into that mix. Hell, Cooper Jerpy, who's working his way back from injury right now, maybe he becomes somebody that fits into your bullpen by September. So I think they have options for that. I don't really see the options outside of Quinn Matthews for their rotation. And so I do probably agree with down the stretch, that would be my biggest question for them. Best match, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN.com, for the Cardinals to improve that rotation depth at this year's deadline was listed as Robbie Ray, the left-handed starting pitcher by the San Francisco Giants. Alex, he's having a pretty good season. He's turned it around. He's on a 1-year deal this year. It is an expiring contract, so you would not have to give up a ton for him.
Oh, okay. So the Cardinals aren't doing that then.
Fair.
You're going to listen to DeWitt Jr.
He's got a 3.5 ERA, and he's striking out a little less than a batter per inning. The underlying numbers say, hey, there's some warning signs here. This might not be sustainable, but he's had a good history, and he's outperforming expectations once again this year. He was finally healthy last season and also had a good year. How would you feel about that? Do you agree that's the best kind of match that the Cardinals can ask for at this year's deadline? Robbie Ray, lefty from the Giants.
I think if you're going off of not giving up a lot, it probably is. I just think he's a lot of what you have, though. You don't have guys that have swing and miss stuff, and I think that's something that you're desperate for. You're desperate for guys who can miss bats. So it wouldn't be my preference, but I think if you're going off the premise of they don't want to spend a lot and they don't want to be tied down, then yeah, that probably would be the better one of Robbie Ray. The problem is I think you'd have to pay a little bit more than what they're suggesting, because I feel like he might be a fallback option for a lot of teams, and if you get 3 or 4 teams that are fighting over them, then the price goes up a little bit.
I don't think he's going to cost you much.
I don't think so either. And I think there's a chance San Fran has to ultimately just keep him. And the reason I say that is because it's the same conversation we have with Dustin May. They can just put a QO on him if they want to in the offseason. So you've got to beat whatever that pick would be that the Giants would be getting in return. And I don't remember if they can get a second-round pick or not, since they've got a little bit higher salary. I think he makes a ton of sense for the Cardinals. Now, again, everybody's going to text in, well, this rotation wouldn't win a World Series. Again, they're not trying to win a World Series. They're just trying to plug some holes to give themselves a chance in October. But if you can go May, Robbie Ray, Palante, McGreevy as your top 4. Honestly, you could even put Leahy in that if you wanted to, since he's been pitching really well. I would probably prefer to put him in the pen because he would play up in that as a multi-inning reliever.
Agreed.
But that's a pretty solid 1 through 4 in your rotation. Yeah, your 3-4's got a little bit left to be desired. Trust me, when you get to October, the only team that has a better 3-4 would be like the Dodgers. They're the only team that seems to have that. Look at the Brewers. They got to October last year, and they were like throwing bullpen games outside of one start from a starter in a series.
The dream match scenario is even more intriguing to me, Alex.
Let's hear it. I always love a good dream match.
Right-handed starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, buddy. Let's go.
This is intriguing and extremely unlikely in my estimation.
This isn't going to happen. I hate dream scenarios.
The Mariners have 6 legitimate starting pitchers right now in their rotation. They also have 2 more that are on the horizon that are making their way to the big leagues, including a guy that legitimately has been named by some publications as the #1 prospect, the #1 pitching prospect for certain, but the #1 prospect overall in minor league baseball right now. But they've got George Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Hancock, Castillo, and Miller. Those guys are all getting starts for them. It's
God.
An embarrassment of riches right now for the Seattle Mariners when it comes to pitching, and their offense has been dreadful. For the last month and a half, they've been legitimately a bottom 5 offense in Major League Baseball. Now, the reason why I find this to be a pipe dream, Alex, is twofold. One, I don't think they would trade Gilbert of all of their starters. I think they would be more likely to trade Castillo because he's been the worst and most expensive and oldest of the bunch. Two, I don't know what you would give up in this scenario.
Yeah, that's my big. I could see a scenario, I guess, where they would trade Gilbert if they feel like they can better their offense because he might be the best commodity to better your offense rather than because Castillo, I don't think is going to get you anything that helps you now.
I think that's more of a salary dump. What do you think on that team?
You're probably getting a lottery.
I think it's just a salary dump. I think Alex is spot on. I think if they want anything to help the offense, it would be trading Gilbert
Problem
or
is
one
what
of the other
you said.
arms.
What do they want and what do they need to help their offense?
Yeah, this is like a...
Do they need a left-handed outfielder? Because I got one.
No, they need a right-handed hitting outfielder.
Damn you.
The problem is this is like a supercharged version of the Jordan Montgomery trade.
Jordan Walker for Logan Gilbert. Who says no?
So you would be looking for the supercharged version in this scenario of Harrison Bader, and I don't think that guy exists on the roster currently, unless...
Nelson
Velasquez? Here's one scenario that I could present this for you. I don't think the Cardinals would do this, but out of curiosity... Would you guys be willing to trade like Alec Burleson in this kind of a deal or Ivan Herrera in this kind of a deal? Because I think that's the way maybe you could get yourself into a conversation is with guys that are above the Lars Nootbaars of the world.
Man, I'm torn on that because I think Logan Gilbert's 29 years old and like that's got swing and miss stuff, but you just know he's a bulldog that's going to eat for you. And that guy could be the face of your rotation for years to come and you build around that. I think your offense takes a massive blow if you take out Burleson or Ivan Herrera.
I agree.
Like Lars Nootbaar, to me, I could take that out of the lineup and say, all right, well, we just need Josh Baez to produce, but I still have my big 4.
How about that, though? What about Josh Baez?
That one I'd be a little bit more willing to listen on.
See, that one's more intriguing. I don't know that Seattle would do it just because it's an unproven that you're moving on from them. Yeah, it's more interesting. Yeah, it's more interesting from the Cardinals' perspective.
I think I would do that.
I think they just view him as a piece that they want as a corner, maybe not a cornerstone, but a good complementary piece that I think they view him as what they thought Gorman was going to be, as a power hitting option that can hit in the 5 spot.
What if they view Rainiel Rodriguez as being that guy 18 months from now?
Yeah.
And they think
I'm just not sure
Joshua Baez isn't making it to the big leagues this year. You can have Lars Nootbaar start in left field with Church next year, so it's not as though you need to have a guy like Baez up next year. And a year from now, we're talking about Rainiel Rodriguez.
I just feel like you're not going to find much better than Logan Gilbert at his age.
I think the part with Gilbert that is tough is you got to know you're going to be able to re-sign that guy. And the reason I say that, he's got 1 year of control.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
I'm not moving my Baez. I'm not moving, Rodriguez wouldn't be in this conversation, but you get my drift. I'm not moving a lot of pieces. I'm not moving anybody in my big 4, first off, period. But I'm not definitely moving them if I'm not getting a guy that's not going to re-sign a contract extension here in St. Louis.
4?
The 4 at the top of the order: Weatherholt, Herrera, Burley, Walker. You mentioned Herrera.
But if we said that under the circumstances, let's say he's willing to re-sign Baez for Gilbert.
And my question
other
is,
pieces sprinkled
if
in.
ownership says, hey, we're willing to pay top dollars for a pitching arm, because that's what it's going to take to re-up Gilbert, we can have a conversation on some of like a Baez, some of those pieces. But
I don't think they're paying for a 30-year-old
I don't either. And that's
starter.
That's where I just say, I can't
if they were,
see a
Gilbert
scenario
would be
for
the
it.
kind of pitcher that I would expect them to like. I mean, he has a history with the number 1 guy in charge of the Cardinals pitching development. He's a former Seattle guy, so he has a history with him. I don't think there's a single starter in Major League Baseball that has been more consistent since the 2022 season than Logan Gilbert. Over that stretch, here's his ERA by year: 3.2, 3.7, 3.2, 3.4, 3.2. And in that stretch, here's the starts by year: 32, 32, 33, 25, 18 so far this season, where like every year he's giving you 180 plus innings with a 3.2-ish ERA. I mean, that guy's outstanding.
He's basically a 3 wins above replacement in his entire career.
But he's about to get to that age 30 season, which is where you wonder, how long is this going to be sustainable? For some guys, the answer is 6 more years. For other guys, the answer is 1 more year. And you have to determine now which side of that coin Logan Gilbert is going to be on as a 6'6", 215-pound starter. I don't know, man. It's super intriguing. I find it interesting.
But if you're trying
it's the kind of guy I would love to build around.
But if you guys are trying to do what we talked about yesterday of like, hey, don't punt this season away. Like, try and capitalize on a season where everything's going well for you. That's doing that. But it's also playing for the big picture as well. Like, you're capitalizing on this season by trading a Baez, who isn't going to impact this season, to bring in a pitcher who strengthens your rotation to make yourself a legit 1-2-3 that you could use in the playoffs. And then beyond this year, if you're re-signing him, yeah, there's an injury potential with this, but that's the case with most pitchers. But you're bringing in a guy who's 30 years old that's going to be the front of your franchise, you hope, for the next 5 to 6 years while you develop everything else behind.
By the way, I should add, I don't think just Joshua Baez is getting this done.
Oh, no, it would be more.
Yeah, I think we're talking about, like, Baez, Riley O'Brien maybe would be a piece that the Mariners would be interested in, a controllable bullpen arm, because they're going to want to improve their major league roster right now if they're going to make a move like this, where it's risky for both sides, but they're doing it for the right now. The Cardinals would be doing that for the long term. Baez plus O'Brien plus some starting pitcher from your minor league system, like maybe a Tanner Franklin. Let's throw him in there.
You're getting a better starting pitcher, Tanner.
Yeah,
it's Tanner.
It's a ton, man.
Why are you always getting rid of Tanners?
You have to give up a haul to be able to get this level of a starter, especially when they have another year of club control remaining. So, yeah.
All right, so they're not doing it.
Yeah, no, this was a dream.
I agree. But that's the going rate.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you got to give up if you're going to get this kind of a starter.
If you want to get, you got to give.
I say this because, like, I think what their ideal trade deadline would be, now it doesn't, I don't know how they can accomplish it because I think it'd be giving up some pieces they don't want to, and they seem like they would be wanting to hoard their prospects for the time being as they're kind of building this thing out in year one of Heim's vision. But I think the like ideal maybe trade deadline would be you trade some of these pieces that you have and you get assets like O'Brien, you mentioned, Nootbaar, who you've got the replacement for Baez, and then you go out and you try and find one controllable starter. That way you kind of kickstart the offseason.
Nootbaar.
I don't know if it has to be with Nootbaar, but you're probably right.
He would be the primary piece that I'd be dangling as my best offseason because I'm not hurting the future of my team. Yes, I'm taking a little bit of a step back for now, but the hope is Josh Baez steps into that role for me.
I agree. I think that's probably the best and most likely scenario for the Cardinals.
All right, who needs a lefty outfielder?
Houston.
A lot of teams. Yeah, Houston needs it.
They're pitching
pipeline. Is their pitching terrible?
The other team that I would, by the way, keep an eye on, I saw this in Jeff Passan's piece, the New York Yankees, according to him, need catching.
So Aaron Judge for Pedro Pages?
Aaron Judge?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Okay, do I have to up it a little bit more?
I would rather Ben Rice. I mean... You're younger, more cost controlled.
I would rather Aaron Judge, man.
He's hurt.
He can't stay healthy.
That's old and very expensive.
I don't care. The dude's like 7
We'd have
foot.
like
He's fine.
2 linebackers in our outfield with Walker and Judge.
Imagine if you put one more.
Yankees hitters this year are hitting a combined 175 with a 250 slugging percentage. Austin Wells has the worst batting average and slug of any hitter with at least 200 plate appearances so far this year, and they have no capable backups. Quote, it's a problem,
okay.
End quote.
Leo Bernal and Lars Nootbaar for Aaron Judge.
I don't like, unless you're moving Herrera, your catchers don't have much offensive upside either to help them.
Maybe not, but like a Pedro Pages, I think would actually be interesting for a team like that. Because I don't think it would cost a ton for them to get a Pedro Pages.
Where are they going to use Pedro Pages?
I mean, he's a hell of a lot better than what they have.
Well, I'm
being 100% honest.
That's not, you're only raising the floor slightly at that point. I mean, he's
for them.
Yeah,
dude, their catchers as a combined unit are batting 175.
Pedro Pages isn't much better than that.
He's significantly better than that.
Significantly was a strong adjective.
Yeah, I disagree with the significant.
I significantly disagree. Now, see how I used the adjective there?
Pedro Pages this season.
Dude, you can look at the numbers all you want. I've seen him in big situations.
Career, he has a 630 OPS. Their catchers have a 500 OPS. That is a difference of 130 points. That's significant.
I'm still saying wrong.
I've seen Pedro Pages this year. It's an upgrade.
Leo Bernal.
Yeah. No clue. No, like
I mean, that's an unknown, and the Yankees can't take a chance on an unknown.
They could.
I don't think they would. I think if they would be trading for someone, they would call you about Herrera, only for Heim to say shove rocks.
What about Jimmy Crooks?
I don't know if they would call on
Did you
Jimmy
just say
Crooks.
shove rocks?
Yeah, isn't that the wrong
No,
word?
it's kick rocks.
Oh, my bad.
Or eat rocks, I guess,
Either
if you
way,
wanna eat
Heim
them.
would hang up probably before he needs to sing.
I'm just telling you, I think that the Yankees as an organization would
be-
value Pedro Baez.
Crooks would be
They are the
interesting.
type of team that has done this in the past.
I would love to hear that conversation. Hey, we're going to give you Pedro Paez. Who are you going to give us?
They'd get you a bullpen arm.
Yeah, I think that you could get
Maybe not a
anything
major
good,
league bullpen
but
arm.
like JoJo
Close.
Romero came in the Edmundo Sosa deal at the deadline.
Well, remember how they got Gallegos? Gallegos
was
Luke Voigt.
Yeah, he wasn't even the big piece of that, though. Chasen Shreve was the big guy that
I'm
they got
telling
that
you guys,
deal.
I'm not
missed
saying
on
that
the
it's going
first
to
guy.
get you a lot, but
He had a bigger schnoz than BK.
hey, chill. I think you could get something for Pedro Baez at the deadline. And I think the Yankees would be the kind of team that I would be targeting. I will go back to, if I was going to get a rental arm this year, the guy that I would target is Casey Mize. I think there is a little more upside there, Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers, than there would be with a Robbie Ray.
I'd go Michael Wacha.
He's not a rental.
Even better.
I thought this was his last year.
He's got one more year.
Okay, cool. I'll take
And
one more
according
year.
to
with
Ken
Michael Wacha.
Rosenthal, the Royals are not
Yeah.
interested in trading him.
God, your team's dumb.
I'm not sure that Mize is going to be available by the time we get there. They're right back in the race again, and I think they're going to hold.
Seriously,
So
look at
I think the
that-
best
look at that
option might be
schnoz,
Ray.
BK.
Okay, relax.
That's a big one.
Can't say that. Coming up next, Mizzou's trying to make up 4 years of bad scheduling in 4 months. Is this the right way to go about it? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. Mizzou has now scheduled Pitt, Marquette, Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois, SLU, and Indiana for its non-conference basketball slate.
DG
yesterday announcing that Mizzou has agreed to a deal to play Indiana in Bloomington on December 18th. There will not be a return game to Columbia in this series. It's just a one-off, Mizzou versus Indiana in Bloomington on December the 18th of this year. Alex, it sure feels as though Dennis Gates is trying to make up for 4 years of bad non-conference scheduling in the course of, 4 weeks this season. I saw this from Isaac Trotter, who works for CBS Sports. Mizzou has played a total of 10 non-conference basketball games against top 50 opponents in Dennis Gates' first 4 seasons. Again, 10 non-conference games. There are now 6 of those on the slate for 2026. Gabe DeArmond then adding 8 of those 10 non-conference games against top 50 opponents were guaranteed to be on the schedule annually because they came against Illinois and Kansas, and he inherited those games. So Dennis Gates has, in other words, scheduled 2 of these games in his previous 4 seasons. He has now scheduled 6 of them for 2026. Indiana, Pitt, Marquette, Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois, SLU among them. I like it. I mean, it's going to be super fun to watch these games. It makes me pretty nervous, though, considering I think exactly one of them is expected to be played in Columbia. The others, 2 of them are in St. Louis. One of them is in Kansas City. Or excuse me, 2 of them are in Kansas City. One's in Chicago, and now another in Bloomington at Indiana. What do you think about the scheduling change that we have seen from Dennis Gates, Alex?
I like it in terms of the entertainment factor. I just hope Dennis Gates also understands that, like, you're kind of, writing your potential firing with Mizzou if things don't go well when you're bringing in all of this talent, because the expectations are raised with the roster, and now you're bringing in these matchups to where you're taking on some of these really good teams. But entertainment purpose, this is what you want if you're a Mizzou fan. Like, you got a great roster. You think you're a team that can push for the tournament. Give me some really good matchups throughout the season before you get into SEC play.
I think it's brilliant. I think with the expansion of the NCAA tournament, there's not much downside to these kind of games, because if you lose to Kansas, we know you'll lose to Illinois, potentially SLU.
Look back at the history
SLU would be the only one that would be a
the
bad
U.S.
loss.
men's national team. They don't know how to live up to the big moments.
Yeah, and Mizzou is like, Tunisia, who went home and fired their coach after the first
Italy,
game.
that never is even there.
But the reason I say that there's just less downside to all of this is, okay, so even if you do play poorly in non-con, and let's say you lose, 8 games, or let's say you go like 3-5 in that stretch. All right, well, those 3 wins definitely help your resume, and then you get into conference play. Just go 500, and you're going to be in the NCAA tournament now that it's expanded. So there's no downside to it, and I wonder if this tells you how he views this roster. Now, I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because I've heard him talk behind the scenes before of like, no, we like this roster, and then they had 0 wins in conference play. But I think him doing this is to get them ready for conference play early on in the season, because that's what Underwood does. Underwood's even said in the past, I made that schedule a little too tough, but it's because he believes in his roster, and he thinks it's the best thing to get them ready for what is a really tough conference in the Big Ten. And I think it's going to be the same thought process here with Dennis Gates in this roster. He loves what he has. He says, these games are going to be tough. We need that to get us ready for the SEC, which is no cupcake. So I love what he is doing. I think this is smart.
From Eric over on the YouTube chat, do you guys think this is all Dennis? The AD has final say. That's not necessarily true at Mizzou. I know at some places that's the way that the scheduling goes. It used to be the case at Mizzou that the AD would be the one that does the majority of the scheduling. That has changed. Dennis Gates does have, if not full control over his schedule, the majority of the control over the way that he schedules things, and you saw that over the last 4 years. It was a deviation from the way that Konzo Martin and Mike Anderson and Frank Haith and all of the guys prior had been scheduling. He had a horrible non-con slate, man. You look back at the way that Mizzou scheduled last year, Alex, this was their non-conference. Howard SEMO, VMI, Prairie View A&M, South Dakota, South Carolina State, Cleveland State, Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, and then they also happened to play games against Minnesota, Notre Dame, Kansas.
And correct me
in
if I'm
Illinois.
wrong, Minnesota's the only one he would have added, right? Because Pitt would have been the SEC ACC challenge.
Yeah.
So he added one of those. Because like you said,
Correct.
he inherited Illinois and he inherited Kansas.
Yep. Yeah. So that would have been the one game that was worth a damn that he inherited. The
Yeah,
other
Minnesota's
thing
not
about
that
this, the only true road games in that he played was against Notre Dame. That's part of the ACC SEC challenge in Howard, which he put at the beginning of the schedule. And let's be real, Howard is not exactly the same thing as going to Indiana.
And they made the tournament.
The first game against a Division I opponent, a Power 5 style opponent that Missouri played against last year in a true road game came in conference play. That's just a totally different scheduling tactic than what we're seeing from them this season. And I think T-Bone's right. I think part of this is the roster. I think he believes in the roster going into the season. I think part of this is about the NCAA tournament expansion. And a third piece of it that I think cannot go understated is the NIL aspect of it. And what I mean by that is they have brought in a new general manager, and in hearing Tim Fuller, their GM, talk, he is basically in charge of getting the most money possible for these kids. That is effectively his job. And that means he's getting a bunch of partnerships with different companies. And part of that is exposure. So games against Indiana or Kansas, Illinois, SLU, that stuff is going to have more exposure for Jason Crow Jr. than playing against Howard or Prairie View A&M or South Dakota. It builds your brand. A big game in November at Indiana, that's going to get eyeballs. That gets an NBA draft people talking about you, and it gets casual college basketball fans talking about you. And so there's more value in that than there would be the way that they had previously been scheduling these things. So I think there's a few different aspects as to why this is taking place. I'm glad it is. I don't think the downside is that significant. And I think that the upside is very real, because if you are able to do well in a non-conference slate like this, you've now upped the ante in terms of what you could potentially do in the tournament. You could bump up from a 5 or a 6 or a 7, which is kind of where they've lived, to a 2 or a 3 seed if everything goes right for Mizzou this year. It's unlikely, but it's possible technically.
I like the optimism, big boy.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, I want to dive into NFL quick hitters. As I mentioned earlier, there was a good piece earlier today over on ESPN.com ranking the top running backs in the NFL. Where do we agree? Where do we disagree on this list? We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals beat the Brewers yesterday 5-1. Game 5 of their 5-game set against Milwaukee is tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Andre Palante will be on the mound for St. Louis. And earlier today, Jordan Walker announced that he will be in this year's Home Run Derby. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Really, I just want to talk about this NFL piece from earlier today.
Okay, I like it.
ESPN.com broke down the top 10 running backs in the league heading into 2026. This is a projection for the upcoming season, Alex. It's not just a review of what we saw last year, but also what they're going to be for the upcoming season. Who would you guess they had as the number 1 running back in the league?
My guess, Saquon.
Nope.
I was going to say Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson is number 1 according to ESPN.com. That is who I would have as my number 1 running back heading into the upcoming season as well, personally. The guy does everything. He's excellent in the passing game, as explosive as anybody in the league, and he's got size. So I know he can be a workhorse. So I think that's what sets him apart for me. Number 2, any guesses?
I want to say Saquon again, but I feel like I'll be wrong here. I have Jahmyr Gibbs as number 2 on mine.
Boom, got it. Called it.
And finally
Jahmyr Gibbs is number 2, and then Saquon is number 3. Do you guys agree with that top 3 overall in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I could make an argument for James Cook for how much that dude is used in Buffalo.
They had James Cook all the way down at number 7. He was one that I disagreed with as well. I'm glad you brought him up.
That's a top 5.
Why can't he be the number 3 running back in the NFL this year? What's setting him back?
For how much they use him and what he did last year, I think that dude could be 1 or 2 in terms of rushing yards and touchdowns, because it's really the only guy that they can go to in most scenarios. And once you get into the red zone, it is the guy that they go to. So if he's not a top 5, the Buffalo Bills aren't a playoff team.
Saquon's great. Don't get me wrong. This is not a statement against him. He's also 29 years old.
Say he's aging.
And last year, he did not look the same as he did the year prior. Meanwhile, the opposite was true as James Cook. Like, he didn't look the same as he did a year ago because he looked better.
It's awesome.
So one is almost on the ascent. The other is on the decline. I would have James Cook ahead of Saquon Barkley right now for 2026. Not what they've done previously for this point in their careers, but what they're going to be for the upcoming season.
I'm with you. Yeah. He has to be a top 5, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. I think the only thing that's like a knock on him is he's just not as good of a receiver. And no, not that Saquon is really either, but that would be the thing that would keep him back behind like Gibbs.
I think they're similar.
And Robinson.
Oh, compared to them, yes.
Yeah, I agree. He's top 3. Yeah. I think I'm with you guys. I would give him the edge over like Saquon just because of the age.
Another guy that I think is, so the next 2, we got the top 3. And then it's Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry on this list. Those are the next 3 on the list. I think those are all kind of...
I absolutely would have James Cook above Derrick Henry.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, without question.
And Henry had fumbling issues this past year, which was odd.
That dude's starting to break.
I think Jonathan Taylor is getting disrespected here. Over the last 2 years, he has 3,000 rushing yards and 30 rushing touchdowns to go along with 500 receiving yards.
Wasn't he bad 2 years ago, though?
I think he was just
1,400 rushing yards.
Was he just injured? I feel like he dealt with an injury
3 years ago. He was coming back back-to-back years of injuries. But the last 2 seasons, almost 5 yards per carry and 30 combined touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah.
The guy has been ridiculous.
Yeah, it was the previous 2 years, 22 and 23, where he wasn't as good.
And he's doing this on a team where he's very clearly the number 1 option. I would also have Jonathan Taylor above Saquon Barkley in my list for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason for him to be behind Saquon. If I flipped their teams, I think Taylor would be as productive, if not more so, with the Eagles, and Saquon would be less productive in Indianapolis than what we've seen from Jonathan Taylor personally.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you there for how much they've used Taylor in the past. I understand the love for Saquon. It's why I said him number 1, because I just assume everybody in the NFL views him as the best running back. I just don't understand the love for the age and kind of how last season went for him to project that it's going to get better when now they have fewer options to go to, which teams are going to target Saquon a little bit more.
How do you guys view Christian McCaffrey?
I have him
He's
as
a
a
tough
top
one for me.
top 5 running back.
Because they have no other options.
I would have him slightly above Taylor, and the reason for it is because he can basically be a wide receiver as well.
There is no backup for
It's
McCaffrey.
been 2 years since he's been that player. He was really good in the passing game last year where he had nearly 1,000 yards, but it was mostly due to volume. He had 100 catches through the air. On the ground, he was not efficient last season. He averaged fewer than 4 yards per carry, and that's 2 years in a row now where he's been at that place. I don't know what to do with him. I think he's awesome. I would want him on my football team, but am I taking him over Jonathan Taylor for 2026? I don't think I would. Would you take Christian McCaffrey this year if you could start your football team? Would you rather have Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley?
I think I'd rather have McCaffrey.
Really?
I would too, because he just allows me to do more.
Well, and I feel like
Because of the passing game?
Well, and I feel like touchdowns are there too with him versus Saquon. Once you get into the red zone, then you got to worry about Jalen Hurts.
Well, you're starting a team. So it's not about...
Oh, I thought you
like
meant fantasy.
No.
Oh.
If you were starting a team and we're talking about the top 10 running backs in the league.
Yeah, I think I'd still go Christian.
Yeah, I'd still go CMC because the way he allows like Shanahan to utilize him in the passing game, it just opens everything up. Now, you're not wrong. His production in the running game itself has started to go down, but he makes up for it because he's able to become a receiver. I mean, look at how he's arguably their most valuable player last year because they dealt with injuries in their wide receiver room, and you mentioned it. He had a huge volume of receptions. Not many running backs are able to do that. And that's why, to me, that's the tiebreaker between him and Jonathan Taylor. It's why I would put CMC at number 4 for me in my top 5. I would probably have him only behind James Cook, Bijan Robinson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. But I would give him that edge over Taylor. Taylor would be the 5th one to round out my top 5.
I think I'd go Taylor above McCaffrey. But it would be interchangeable in my opinion to where both can be 4 or 5.
And then I would
can
have
hear the
Henry
argument.
as the next guy.
At 6?
Yeah, even with him getting up there in age, have you guys looked at what he did last year? Derrick Henry had 1,600 rushing yards for the Baltimore Ravens a year ago and 16 rushing touchdowns. Over the last 2 years since joining the Ravens, he has 3,500 rushing yards, averaging more than 5 yards per carry and 35 touchdowns. And that's all on the ground. I think he's got to be included in that mix.
See, I would put one more guy ahead of Henry.
Who's that?
Achane. Just because, again, that ability to catch the football, right? Had almost 500 yards receiving last year, and because of the age with Henry, who last year, as I mentioned, started to have the fumbling issues. I get it because, I mean, he still is a stud, and until I started looking at the leaderboard for this segment for rushing yards, didn't realize that he was that high up still. Yeah. But I would give Achane a little bit of a slight edge. I would put Henry at 7 on my list.
Yeah. My thing with Achane, I just don't know if he can carry the load the way that Derrick Henry can.
That's fair.
You know, like he's more of a 15 touch a game guy. I can expect 25 per game out of Derrick Henry, and he's not going to wear down. He's just going to get better as the game goes on. But I had Achane as the next one. That's where the list to me gets really interesting. Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs. We don't know what's going on with him. Kyron Williams, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne.
I can't believe you didn't mention Jeremiah Love.
And I was going to throw in Jeremiah Love as the first-year rookie.
I wouldn't have him high up because I think that Cardinals team has got a lot more issues to where your running back is not going to just thrive in that.
Doesn't it scream, who's the rookie that got drafted last year?
Ashton Genty.
Yeah, where it's
it
like,
does.
This guy's going to have the ability to be a top 10 running back, but guys, we have to block to run the football.
There's got to be an offensive line. Or, you have to have other options that the defense is worried about. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to have that.
So we had 2 spots left. We had Achane/Henry at 7 and 8. How would you rank them? Who would you put into your top 10 as those last 2 spots? I'll repeat the names again. Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Jacobs, Kyron Williams, DeAndre Swift. You could throw Ashton Genty into this mix, Travis Etienne, and then Jeremiah Love.
I think I would put Kenneth Walker on there just because of the offense that he's going to. And then I think I could make an argument for all of them in that spot.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift had a really good year, but is it going to continue with all of those options? ETN, I kind of feel like that ETN one was you have to perform, otherwise you're going to be gone, and they've got some other backups. I think I kind of would put Kyron Williams in that spot. Is that too aggressive?
Kyron's super steady.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Exactly
and I don't know
getting.
what the competition is behind him.
They've got Corum, but he's not
And
a guy
I'm
that's
talking
going
just
to
about
take the load.
the quality of the player. This is not a fantasy football ranking. That's a
No,
different
I'm just going off of
conversation,
what
but
they're going to be used for and how much they're used for that team. And I mean, that's the thing.
Breece is in that conversation. If we're going workload, Breece Hall is going to get a crazy workload this year. For
Yeah,
the
but I
Jets.
just can't trust that dude to stay healthy.
That's fair.
Every year, he just is always in and out.
Yeah, I would go Kyron above Kenneth Walker, and then that would be kind of the two that would wrap up my list.
Crazy choice. Kyron Williams above Kenneth Walker is nuts.
Really? Let me check
It's the Chiefs love, man.
I know. Let me check the leaderboard, and how about that? Kyron Williams, 6th in rushing yards last year. Kenneth Walker, check that, outside the top 15.
Yeah. Different situation.
Yeah.
If
He's
you're
not on a
telling me-
Super Bowl winning team anymore.
Okay, tell
What
me
do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Fair.
Brandon.
Good retort there.
They can win the Super Bowl.
If I put Kyron
Travis
Williams
Kelce just barely
onto the
sniffed.
Seahawks and I put Kenneth Walker onto the Rams, who had the better year last year? If you flip their situations. It's Kyron. Or excuse me, it's
Yeah,
Kenneth
you're
Walker.
right.
God
It is
bless
Kyron.
It's Kyrie.
End the
it's
segment.
Kenneth Walker.
Junk drawers next.
Kenneth Walker would have put up crazy numbers on that Rams team. It would have been absurd.
I don't know, man. I'm not as high on Kenneth Walker.
I would go Walker 9, and I think I would go Jeremiah Love 10.
Yeah,
I
just
think he's
wouldn't-
deserving of being on this list.
No, he can't go on this
I'll
list.
say this: I'm willing to be wrong on a rookie.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's why I
A
wouldn't put
rookie
him up
that doesn't
there.
have an offensive line and has a questionable quarterback.
I think there's a better chance that we look back on this and say Jeremiah Love is the 5th best running back at the end of the season than he is at the outside of the top 10.
No, I think we're going to view it like Ashton Ginty with the Raiders, to where it was like, I see signs, but that team is far off before he can be one of the best running backs in the game.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up in about 15 minutes, or 20 minutes now, believe it or not, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get your scenarios in. You give us a scenario, we will tell you if we are believing it or not here on BK and Ferrario. Next time for the Junk Drawer here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone on BK. All right, let's dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone, what do you got for us today?
Guys, I'm curious how many of the shows you've seen that were most nominated for the Emmys in 2026.
Okay, let's do
I'm going
it.
to guess 2 of them. Can I guess 2 of them?
Sure, go ahead. What do you think got the
Widow's
most?
Bay.
Widow's Bay was third most
Saw
Emmys
that
for
article.
2026.
19. And then The Pit.
Pitt was number 1 with 25 Emmy nominations.
All right, I'm out as the only 2 TV shows that I watched.
And those are both recommendations by your boy BK over here. by the
You're
way.
darn right, man. My wife and I were so obsessed with The Pit. We watched it, and I mean, you got to understand, we probably get through maybe an episode a night.
Sure.
We watched the, 2 seasons that there were? Probably in a week.
Yeah, I mean, I was
And that's
basically
impressive.
the same way.
That's like 20 episodes.
It's so good.
I
It is
couldn't stop
such an
watching it.
Excellent show, and I cannot recommend it enough. And it feels like watching classic TV. There was a piece written earlier this week that got a lot of buzz about how Netflix is having an issue. I think it was well overstated. This has always been an issue, but neither here nor there. They're having an issue with viewers not sticking around for season 2 or 3 of shows. And I think part of that is because they put out all of the episodes like that. They're all just, it's all binge TV. So you watch it in a weekend, and then you're just done with it. And then you don't see another season of it a lot of the time for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And so it's 2 or 3 years literally between when you last saw the show and when you next see it. So the anticipation level isn't there. With The Pit or shows like that are still given out weekly, and The Pit had 20 episodes or something like that. You actually get a real experience. Like, you have time to spend with the show where it becomes something you're really excited to experience on a weekly basis.
Like where we're at now, and I told T-Bone this yesterday. So we've gone through a couple. There's a show on MGM. I think that's MGM, but it's it's like a horror survivor series. We went through the first 3 seasons because we found out about it late. We watched it all, and then we had to wait a year to watch it, which is so hard. We didn't forget. It's just, God, I don't want to wait.
You're going to run into that either way, though.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think
When they're
that's the
live.
biggest problem, is not whether it's binging or you go week by week.
But it's why I like watching shows when they're
I
done.
can't tell you how many times I started, Silo. BK and I watched Silo. 3rd season's out for Silo now on Apple TV. I watched 5 minutes at the beginning of that and went, what the hell happened in season 2?
Well, that's so Blacklist. I got onto that late when it was done, and we went through the entire series, and it was like, this is incredible. So that's the way I like it, but it's hard because when shows are great, they stay on for a while. But I'm glad, the anticipation is there for me with The Pit and From, because I keep waiting for more of it.
So to go back to your list, T-Bone.
Pit 1.
1 Pit. 3 you said is Widow's Bay.
Yep.
I'm out.
Any guesses on 2? I don't even know if I know this one.
Adolescence, is that up there?
It is not up there.
Okay.
What was that?
Your Friends and Neighbors?
Nope.
What about the...
Yeah, I think you've
What was
seen
the
a
St.
decent
Louis
amount
one?
of
What was-
DTF St.
yeah.
Louis. It is on the list. It is at
DTF?
6, I believe. 13 Emmy nominations
What a
for
really
DTF
good
St.
show, by the
Louis.
way.
What about...
Not what I expected it to be.
What about that It's All Her Fault?
No.
No, that didn't get any? I liked it.
I'll
like
give you
that.
one of them because
Okay.
it's not
I like
really
that
a
one.
show. It's a weekly. SNL is up on the list as
Okay.
well.
Where was that at?
It was at
That's always on
7
there.
with 11.
What about Beast in Me?
Beast in Me cracked the, I don't know if this is top 10. It was tied at the bottom here at 9.
What's the Sterling K. Brown one?
Oh, Paradise.
Paradise.
Nope.
Wow. Surprised that one I thought would get a lot.
What else do we have in the top 5, T-Bone?
So
missing
the
2
one
of
you're
them.
missing in the top 5 at number 2 with 24 Emmy nominations, just one behind The Pit, was Hacks.
Never seen
Never
it.
seen it.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of it.
What is
But that was at number 2. I'm surprised BK didn't guess this one for how much he loves the show. At number 4, Pluribus
Oh, great show.
ended up at number 4 on the
Did
list.
Did you end up watching that?
I watched the first episode. I was like, this is just bizarre. I'm out.
I will say the first episode
Same
is
with
very
DTF
different.
St. Louis. I watched about 5 episodes. I was like, I just can't. This is too weird for me. I'm done. I'm not out of my prime, I'd like to believe, so I didn't like it. Number 5 in the top 5 was Beef at 16 Emmy nominations.
What is it?
It's called Beef. I think it's a Netflix show.
Beef?
What
is beef?
Look it up.
I have a lot of thoughts.
I would add show after you
I was
search
going
Beef.
to say, I have a lot of thoughts running through my mind.
It's not what you think, based upon the TV, the name
Honey,
of
you
the
want to
show.
watch Beef tonight?
It's Ali Wong. She's the star in the show. It's about this
good thing.
running.
Good
It's
thing
a comedy.
Beef show comes up when I type in beef.
I thought it was just okay. It didn't do a ton for me.
Oh, the dude
haven't
from
seen
Walking
it.
Dead's in that.
Then you guys got DTF St. Louis was at 6.
Yep.
Tied for 7th. I gave you SNL. I'm actually surprised it's up here, but it kind of makes sense if you've watched it, just the way it's shot. Spider Noir
Oh, Noir.
on Amazon. That was up there. And then the round out the bottom. So you guys got The Beast of Me. That's tied for 10th, or tied for 7th, excuse me. There's 3 that are tied here with A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is a spinoff of Game of Thrones. I haven't seen it. It's on my list. And then this one I would recommend, Fallout. The Amazon
you told me about
TV
this
show that is based off the video game. It is very well done.
I'm always skeptical with the video game turned into series because I didn't like Walking Dead because it didn't mimic the video game series as well. But I've heard that Fallout's really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Fallout. On this list, I've seen The Pit, still finishing up Widow's Bay, Quit on Pluribus, Quit on DTF St. Louis, Spider Noir, Fallout I've seen. So I've seen 4 of the
I'll tell you next year,
top 10.
I told you guys this yesterday. If you haven't started watching Cape Fear, Katie and I are watching that one right now. That's going to be on this list next year.
Buddy, Big Brother starts soon.
That's out.
You know what my next 3 months looks like.
Good God, man.
I hate to inform you, that one won't make the list.
That trash isn't going to get on here.
I'm not sure
should
Cape
it.
Fear is going to get up here either.
Season 2 Beef was a different cast.
Yeah.
What?
Joking that, the next season of Beef is different.
The Shrinking is another one that somebody on
Shrinking's
the
the one
text
Katie
line
keeps
said.
trying to get me to watch.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet?
I don't even
you'll
know
like
what that
Shrinking.
is.
Dude, I can only handle so many series, okay? I got like 3 of them going on at once right now.
Yeah, you will like Shrinking. It's really, really
I like
well
Jason's
done.
Siegel, so I'm sure I'll like that.
Yeah, I know. Shrinking.
He and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it's the showrunner is excellent. You'll like Shrinking. It's a comedy. It's heartfelt. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
No. I don't like heartfelt stuff like that.
What do you mean?
I like comedy.
have a
I
heart.
like mystery. I like thrillers. I can't do
This is the
heartfelt
same
stuff.
guy, BK, that said he enjoys watching the tears of people at the World Cup, not the World Cup itself.
I don't understand.
What do you mean you don't understand? I don't like
doesn't have
watching
a heart.
heartfelt stuff. I want thriller. I want mystery. I want murder. I want funny.
I mean, funny can be heartfelt.
No, funny cannot be heartfelt. I want different type of funny. Show me a funny
His
heartfelt.
funny is like Jackass. There's no heartfelt.
That's true. I've
that.
been watching a ton of
You
that.
guys seen Rooster yet?
Is that
No.
the sequel to Beef?
No, it's the Steve Carell show on HBO.
It didn't look good to me.
Steve Carell, though?
I saw the trailer for it.
I don't
funny.
like serious Steve Carell.
It's funny heartfelt.
I see.
It's
No.
Bill Lawrence. Have you ever seen a Bill Lawrence show?
Name me another. I don't know Bill Lawrence
Ted
shows.
Lasso.
No.
He's most probably known
It sounds
for
like I don't like-
Scrubs. Have you ever seen Scrubs? Okay.
It sounds like I don't
I've
like
seen
Bill Lawrence
Scrubs.
shows.
Really?
Scrubs wasn't funny
Yeah.
to me. I mean, I've watched episodes.
It's
It wasn't
fine.
funny.
But
Yeah.
recently he's Ted Lasso, Shrinking, Rooster. Those are the big ones.
Sounds like I don't like Bill Lawrence.
Rooster did not look interesting to me. I saw the trailer. It was the big one that HBO was kind of promoting at the time. That and
I thought it was really good. I enjoyed
St.
it.
Louis. I'm out.
I don't like that type
I'm
of
looking for a
heartfelt
new
stuff.
show, so I'm
Look, man,
open-minded
you go
to
watch
new
your
stuff.
heartfelt trash television. I'll watch my television, and we'll all love ourselves.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. I will
Yours
say
is more
this.
trash.
You have better taste in TV than T-Bone does. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's not
I will
fair.
At least give
Very
you
true.
that.
Very true.
Somebody said, I have not seen it yet, but I heard that The Bear is really good. I watched season 1 of The
yeah.
Bear and loved it. Watched season 2 of The Bear and thought it was okay.
I couldn't even watch season 1. That was boring for me. It's just maybe it's one of those that you have to get through the first couple of episodes, but man, I got to the
I've
third
heard-
episode and I was just bored.
I've heard really good things about it. It's on my list. That might be the new show I
It was
start.
the same as Ozark. Everybody kept telling me to watch Ozark, and I'm
Ozark
like,
did
this
nothing
is
for me.
boring, and I can only watch it at like 11 o'clock at night because I can't see it otherwise.
That's the other thing with it is it's so dark.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
so dimly lit on your television screen. You feel like the TV is screwed up
You
whenever
can't
you're
watch
watching
it in the daytime.
Yeah, there was some of that with Pluribus as well, but I really liked that show. Alongside Alex T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, are the Cardinals in position to take on a salary dump at this point at the deadline? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Are the Cardinals in position right now to take on some kind of a salary dump? It's something that T-Bone asked us before the show today, Alex, as we were going through that ESPN.com article by Jeff Passan. T-Bone, what did you think about this? When you brought that up, who did you have in mind?
Well, when I brought that up, I had two guys that were in mind for me, and I'll lead with I don't think it makes sense for the Cardinals, but there's a lot of teams looking to offload some salary this year. Like you look at the Rangers, it sounds like they want to move on from Corey Seager or potentially move on from Corey Seager before he gets 10-5 rights, which means been in the big leagues for 10 years, been with a team for 5 years, guarantees you a no trade protection.
So basically the Ketel Marte situation that arose a year ago.
How many years does he have left on his contract?
Like 5, I think.
Oh, so it's a lot of money.
4 or 5.
I was going to say, man,
for a ton of money.
I'd take Corey Seager,
for a guy
not for that.
Body is falling apart
this year?
Yeah, and I'll hope for a rebound from Corey Seager.
Corey Seager this year is batting 182. Remember what we said about how bad you feel about, let's face Pedro Paez as a hitter? Corey Seager has effectively been Pedro Paez at the plate this year.
I put him at third base, though, and I feel like I can get a little bit more of an improvement from him. Plus, he's really good in the playoffs.
I do think you could get a little bit of an improvement. He's $31 million for each of the next 6 years.
And that's the part that I
longer than I thought. Yeah.
That's the part I backed out
But then
on.
you've got Sanford, who's basically been saying, someone please take our garbage. They've got Matt Chapman that's on a longer-term deal that they're looking to potentially move. They're listening on Luis Arraez. I think they're going to listen on Willie Adames, who's got a long-term deal as well. So you've got those in those contracts. Luis Castillo, we talked about the Mariners earlier about what they could do with their rotation. I don't think they're moving Gilbert or any of the young guys. I think they're going to see if they can move off of the money on Luis Castillo. So that's just a couple of names that kind of fall into this category. Chapman's kind of interesting because he plays third base, and we know how much of a hole that is for the Cardinals. I'm just too scarred from the Nolan Arenado experience, and I think Chapman's starting to lose this power.
Doesn't he have a lot of years he left, too?
His is less. I think he's got like 3 or 4, and for less money than Corey Seager. But he's interesting. And then Castillo would be interesting if you believe in his turnaround because he's been pitching better. But when you peek under the hood, it doesn't seem to suggest it. So I brought this up as just kind of a thought exercise. I don't think it makes sense for the Cardinals to be looking for bad contracts. I think what it makes sense for them to be doing is looking for controllable pieces that are, good. So I don't think they are in the business of taking on a bad contract at the deadline.
Yeah, none of those sounded good to me. I would like to take on, if I could take on a guy that's got 2 years left at third base, I would take
if Chapman had 2 years left.
If Seager had 2 or 3 years left, I'd take a flyer on it because I feel like I could get him back to it, and you fill the spot that I don't think I've got something coming up anytime soon. None of those options, though, sound interesting to me that you just referenced.
I'm in full agreement with you. This is not something that if they've got more than 1 more year remaining on their contract, I think it will potentially block you from doing something of more significance in the future.
Agreed.
Like if I take on Corey Seager right now, I'm paying him $30 million in 2029 when I might need that $30 million to go out and get the number 1 starter that I'm lacking. Or maybe I need to go out and get a third baseman that can really help me and can become a franchise caliber player along with Walker and Weatherholtz and Wynn and Rainiel Rodriguez and Joshua Baez and all of the other core pieces that you've developed internally. So, yeah, I think I'm out on that. The other piece of this conversation, we might be close to the extension talks with guys like Weatherholtz or Walker, Burleson, etc. And that's going to take money to be able to get accomplished. So I don't think they're in that spot right now unless it's for 2 or fewer years, like this year plus 1 more. And I don't know who fits into that criteria that would really make sense for them either. Like Baltimore, if they had a third baseman that was making big money that they want to get off of that contract and they just want to do over for something, I could see how that would make sense. They don't have that guy.
Can I get Gunnar Henderson?
A player like that.
Play him at third?
No.
Damn.
If you're willing to give up everything that's good in your prospect
What if I just give you Gorman and Mason Wynn? I've heard those guys are good.
Wouldn't do it.
I don't think it makes sense here.
Yeah.
The other thing, and kind of to tie into what you said about
the pitcher side of things.
Yeah, guys that are potentially due for contract extensions. The other thing that could potentially be around the corner as well is a salary cap. Mm-hmm. And you don't know where that's going to be at. We've seen the proposals. Now, I can argue the Cardinals kind of operate on their own salary cap, so it's kind of the same thing, but you've got that in the back of your mind as well. Do I really want to bring in somebody that could be Seager, for example, that if there is a cap would count towards $30 million of that salary cap at the back end of his career? That just doesn't make sense for a team that's building.
I'd like to keep my books risk-free because if there is a cap, I want to be one of the teams that's in a really good position to do some crazy stuff rather than the team that has to ship out guys.
And we don't know how it's going to be implemented, how it's going to be grandfathered in, any of those different things. But if teams have to move money from their books, you then also, to that point, Alex, the flexibility that you could have, you could be one of those teams that takes on money from other teams. And not bad money in this scenario, potentially good money, but that teams have to get off of in order to get some kind of a return instead of just dumping their money off of their books.
And maybe if it is bad money, you get like a good prospect in return, right?
What I was thinking.
We see this in the end. Well, not so much anymore since the cap spike, but in the flat cap era,
Doug Armstrong took advantage of that. They took on
the
Radek,
Blues,
Foxa, and Joseph to get draft picks.
They would get second, third round picks. We would see some teams try and trade like a late first to get a bad contract off the books. You might be able to see something similar to where if you keep your books clean, is it ideal you take on a bad contract? No, but if you're getting a really good prospect in return, maybe you're more willing to do it.
On that note, you mentioned the Blues doing something like this. Alex, there were some reports over the last 24 hours that Anaheim is potentially looking to make some moves.
Why would they have to make moves? They just locked up their number one center.
Yeah, $18 million a year. Now they've got Cutter Gauthier, who needs to make about $15 million a year. So they've got some money to move around.
Good.
The names that were really thrown out there were, I think, Alex Killorn and Frank Vetrano. Vetrano is 32 years old. He's making $4.5 million a year. Killorn, 36 years old, making $6.25 million just for the 2026 campaign, though. The Blues have the money to make anything work. Like, if they wanted to take on a salary, they could right now. And they will probably get a draft pick of some capacity if they were to do something like this. Is it something you would consider if you were in Doug Armstrong / Alexander Steen? Alex Steen.
Yeah, sorry. Come on, man. I absolutely would. Not so much Killorn, because at 36, a third liner, and I don't think he provides much offense. I would take on Frank Vetrano's this year and next year at $4.5 million because he's 32 years old. That guy, if you look, we talked Jake DeBrusk and trading like a 15th overall pick to get him. If you look at Frank Vetrano, this was a bad year for him, but the previous two with Anaheim, one of those under Greg Cronin, 37 goals and 60 points, 21 goals and 45 points. That, to me, is upgrading your third-line wing over a Berggren or a Stenberg or any of those other guys. And I think Vetrano's got that speed element that the Blues value. So, man, if I could get Anaheim to send me my second-round pick back that I traded them, or get them to trade me their second-round pick next year, I would take on Frank Vetrano's contract in a heartbeat. Now, he's got a no trade, so that would be the hard part. But, man, that guy would fit perfectly on my second power play and my third line.
Can I get Chris Kreider?
God, we're still on this, man. I don't think Kreider had a very good year.
I mean, his bad year was 22 goals and 50 points.
Hey, man, you want your power play to be better. That's who you want.
I'm serious. Could I do that? Because if I could...
What's he only got 1 year left too, right?
Yep, yeah. $6.5 million. And it's a 15-team no-trade list, so maybe he can't or won't come here. That's possible. But
hell yes, I would do that.
If they're willing to move off of his money to make this all work, I don't know if they would be or not. Maybe they just say, hey, that guy's actually like good for us. We're not doing that.
That's kind of what I think they're looking at. I think he's a top-line player for them.
Sure. But he played 17 minutes a night, so he was, on average, like a second-line guy for them last year. If they're willing to move on, that would be the kind of move that I would make. And then you've potentially got, like, on that second line, McMichael, McTavish, and Kreider. That's pretty interesting.
Which means your third line is going to be Neighbors, Dvorsky, and Booch.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's depth. And again, that fills the void of what we were talking about with DeBrusk, to where you're not putting a guy in a position that you don't think he's going to thrive, whether it's the younger guy, and you're putting somebody that's going to provide that secondary offense. So if they're willing to pay to get one of those guys off, which they have to, like every team knows you got to move money now, so you're going to give me a commodity to take on that contract. I think you could get a better commodity to take on Vetrano because he's 2 years versus a Kreider or a Killorn that's only 1 year. But I wouldn't do Killorn. I don't think that makes sense at 36 and without a lot of offensive upside. Kreider makes a ton of sense for your power play, and I think Vetrano makes sense for the secondary scoring with speed.
This is very much the opposite of the Cardinal situation that we were just talking about. I think the Blues are in a really good spot to potentially take on a bad contract.
Yeah.
Take on a bad contract, go ahead and get a draft pick associated with it, or in the sense of Chris Kreider, just take on the bad contract and send back like a third-round pick. Like, you're getting him for less than what the value probably should be because of their desperation. I think they could potentially make a move like this.
And then when your younger guys are ready to take that next step, let's say at the trade deadline, Carbonneau's ready to move and Stenberg's ready to be promoted. Now you flip that asset if he's having a good year to get yourself another commodity that helps you in the offseason.
It'll be really interesting if the Blues got their own second-round pick in return with like a Frank Vetrano.
Well, then can't offer sheet it with that though, because that's for this year. Does that make sense? So like if they've transitioned down to 2027, so that won't matter for the next year's offer sheets.
But you could offer sheet somebody now.
I don't know if there's anybody else to offer sheet out there. I mean, I guess Fantilli if you want to go down that path, but I'm taking on $4.5 million right now.
Screw it, I'm getting Bedard.
I just get my second-round pick back, and then I'll trade that to go get Nikishin from Carolina.
There you go.
Go get
Alongside
Nikishin.
Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, believe it or not, here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. Summer is here. Kids are out of school. Gas prices are finally starting to come back down to earth. So it's road trip season. Heck, my wife and I are going to be doing this next weekend. Before you hit the road, here's what you need to do. Head outside, take a look at those tires. Better yet, bring your vehicle to Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, and they're going to take a look at your whole car. Every visit to Dobbs comes with a free digital vehicle condition report to give you a total peace of mind of where your vehicle is at. The reports include pictures, suggestions sent straight to your phone so you see what they see. No guesswork, total transparency. Only Dobbs gives you a fixed forever warranty which covers parts and labor for as long as you own your car. Dobbs, lowest tire prices in town guaranteed. Crosswind tires starting at $59 and Dobbs offering 0% financing on all tires and services with Affirm. Dobbs has locations all over the St. Louis area ready to serve you, so schedule your visit online 24/7 at gotodobbs.com.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so
Free, flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
We should send this to Donnie for his radiothon today.
It has been a minute since we've been able to do
Didn't we do this last Thursday?
Where were we last Thursday?
I think we did this last Thursday, man.
Was I here last Thursday?
Well, yeah, we all were here last Thursday.
Oh, yeah, because we were off
Didn't
on
we do
Friday.
something?
No, I think we did.
We
this
did One's
last
Gotta Go, maybe?
No, it was
No, we were here.
we had a bunch of
we
hockey
were off
stuff.
on Friday, weren't
And
we?
we had a bunch of hockey stuff that day.
Did we?
No, it was July 3rd.
July 2nd.
Yeah, because the 4th
So
was
it's
Saturday.
coming off of the.
They didn't do anything the second. They did it all. All they did was sign Johnston.
2 weeks ago that they did the.
2 weeks ago was the day before the draft, so that would have been.
We skipped it that
Well, last week we
Yeah.
were at Enterprise, but that was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we did it last week. It feels like it's been a while.
Well, believe it or not, you're still here for this segment right now.
All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Covered Service text line for Believe It or Not. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are believing it or not here on 101 ESPN. Believe it or not, Jordan Walker will finish the season with 35 or more home runs.
I'll say believe it. Oh, no, not believe it. He's participating in the home run derby. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Yeah, man, if he wouldn't participate in it, we're talking 40. But instead, I think he'll finish with like 28.
He's on pace for 37 with 125 ribbies
That's
right now.
pre-home run derby. So
Not
I'll say
bad.
post-home run derby, 27.
That's
Screw it, I'll
amazing.
say believe it. I mean, he's been unbelievable. And anytime he goes through a little slump, it only lasts for a week. And then he's right back to who he is. So I believe it. I think he's going to get there.
I'm going to believe it as well. This is the guy that we all were sold whenever he first got up with the St. Louis Cardinals. It took a little while, but he's 24 years old. This is when you would expect him to hit his prime. And he's doing that right before our eyes. Alex?
Guys, believe it or not, Connor McMichael has more points than Jordan Kyrou this season.
Not. Kyra's in an unbelievable spot right now.
He's not going to get the same type of playing
Did you see
time
where
that
he
he
was
usually
last
does.
year?
Yeah.
He's going to be playing like 13 or 14 minutes a night.
But in the
Versus
best
McMichael,
situations
probably.
possible.
I don't know if that's true, though. He's going to be playing on the second power play unit. He's going to be getting some mismatches, but I don't think he's going to see the same type of opportunities that he did in St. Louis, where he was the go-to guy.
I think he's going to have a very good season this year for them.
Well, I don't know if you caught my wind, but I'm going to believe it. I think there's a chance Kyrou's probably around that 50-point number, and I think McMichael could do that, if not a little more.
I think
he's gonna be
Kyra has a
close.
better chance of being on the top line in Washington than Connor McMichael does here. I'll say that.
Oh, I disagree
Weren't
with
you
that,
the guy
too.
trying to blow up the top line?
Yeah, you were
before
trying to put
training camp?
McMichael up there with Thomas and Snuggerud because you were going to move Holloway with McTavish.
Nope.
No, he's
Neighbors.
putting neighbors up there, right? Yeah. Tomato,
Put
tomato.
neighbors. Just so we're
I'll say
on
not.
the same page.
Yeah, I'll
I
say
disagree
not
with
believe
that.
it, but I think it's going to be pretty close. Because I can see what you're talking about, and like to think Cairo could be on the top line for the entire season is to assume Cairo's going to show up for 84 games. Sorry, he doesn't. Right? I mean, he shows up for 50, and then there's 34 where he floats around. So it's going to be closer than I think we expect. I would lean not believe it though. I still think he'll end up with
text
a little
line.
more.
Last week we did a dealer's choice. You chose One's Got to Go.
Oh.
That's what it was.
Because we were off. That's right. And we liked One's Got to Go more. That's right. So we've missed it 2 weeks in a row.
Thank you.
It has been a while.
It felt like it had been a while.
What was 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks was the day before the draft.
Yeah.
That one I think we did skip too. 'Cause we had
314.
news.
That makes sense.
That was the Kyrie stuff.
399-9646.
And then all the rumors.
T-Bone?
Piggybacking off of
Piggy
BK's.
what?
Sorry, that's a lot. And I had to look this up to kind of confirm this. Believe it or not, we will see two Cardinals with 30-plus home runs and 100 RBIs. Burley right now on pace for 27 homers and 117 RBIs.
Say not because of the homers for Burley. I think they both get to 100 RBIs, though, and that's only happened once in the last, decade, I think. I think it was 2022 when Goldie and Arenado both did it. But, yeah, I'll say not because I don't think Burley gets to 30 home runs. That'd be awesome if he did, though.
Yeah, I think I'll believe that. I think you'll see a lot of teams continue to try and get as many lefties against the Cardinals as possible, and Burley struggles there. I do think you get the 100 RBIs, though.
Yeah, I would say not because of the 30 home runs for Burley. It's going to be close, though, because he could get on a tear against Rice. I mean, look at that. What was it, June that he had that unbelievable month, or maybe it was May? I think you're starting to see, though, teams really want to try and get him against lefties, and that's going to be the thing that potentially slows him down.
37 doubles is his current pace as well. He's starting to really...
And 2 triples. Didn't even know he had
Two
one.
Triples?
No, he's projected for 2 triples. I
You guys
didn't
know
know he had one.
Damn.
Do you guys know how many doubles J.J. Weatherholt has on the season? Again, Alec Burleson has 21, just to give you context here. Burley has 21, Jordan Walker has 19, Mason Wynn has 12.
I'll say 15. I can't see him more. I don't think so.
I was thinking 10.
9 doubles on the season. To give that context, Jose Fermin also has 9 doubles on the season, and Nathan Church has 9 doubles on the season.
It's a little surprising.
It's shocking to me. It does not make sense. Everything about his swing suggests this should be a doubles machine, and it just hasn't happened thus far. I think that's the next step for him as a hitter, is I think you're going to see I think he's got 40 double potential as a player, and he's just not there yet for whatever reason. It might be the ballpark, I don't know, but that's something that I think is coming for him.
And the reason I say surprising is because, I think he's got pretty good speed. I don't know if he's faster than Wynn. I don't know who would be faster if you look at sprint speed. I think they're close. And the other reason, he drives the ball better than Wynn. If you look at the average exit velo for Wynn, it's blue on Baseball Savant. For Weatherhold, it's a little bit better. So I think I'm with you. That's his next step. But, man, if that's, the next step is, to get to 40 doubles, first off, wow, what an incredible first year.
By the way, Mason Wynn's slightly faster in terms of sprint speed than J.J. Weatherholt,
right,
which makes a little bit of sense. J.J. Weatherholt's about 60th percentile, which is pretty good.
Wynn, what,
pretty
65?
Good speed. Wynn is actually a little higher than you would expect, 76th percentile.
Oh, wow.
And that's down from where he was when he first got up. He had some really good speed early on.
He took a base the other night, which was good to see. I want to see him steal more.
I agree.
He's starting to get on base more, and he's not doing any damage. If you look at it, he's been hitting 280, 290 over the last 20 games. So his on base percentage is up. He's got no power, so I'd like to see him manufacture that slug by trying to steal second more if someone's not in front of him.
Let's get to these from the text line from Dirk Digler's unit. Believe it or not, Burley will be extended by the Cardinals before Jordan Walker is.
Not.
Yeah, I'm not going to believe it just because I think you could see a Walker that one's going to be harder to hammer out. I think with Burley, they may just go up until about that final year of Arbor, honestly, up till his free agent year, and then work something out.
I wonder at what point, if there's a point that Burley becomes a trade piece for the Cardinals.
That too.
I think it's entirely possible, and I think the way that happens is Rainiel Rodriguez. I don't think they extend him. If there was going to be an extension, I think it would be this offseason, because he's got 2 years left on his deal, so it's kind of a natural landing spot to get that done. I think you wait, though, to see what Rainiel Rodriguez looks like next year, because he's probably going to spend most of the season at AAA. And at that point, he's a call away from being at the big league level. And I think Rodriguez, if I had to guess, his future is probably at first base.
I think when you look at it, Nootbaar and Burleson may be the two best trade commodities that the Cardinals have over the next 2 years if they're trying to transition into that younger group, but also stockpile their minor league system. And I just think Jordan Walker is going to be the face of the team after a season. If he has a season where he finishes top 3 in the MVP, I think the Cardinals are going to be like, we've got to lock this guy up.
From the 801, believe it or not, the Blues start the season without a captain this year.
I'm going to say not believe it. I think Steen values it so much. I think Thomas is the captain. Parayko and Neighbors are the A's, and they'll also view Dylan Holloway and Broberg as a part of that leadership group.
I think Robert Thomas is your captain. I agree.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. In the past, I've said I don't know that they would go with a captain, but I think what you said about Steen is what, hearing him talk and the way he kind of views it from a GM seat, I think he values a captain. I think he's going to name one.
I think Monty does too. I think Monty values having a guy that he can go to address the team.
From Car Wash Dave, believe it or not, the Blues will sign Jordan Binnington to a new 2-year contract.
Not.
Agreed.
I just think Binnington's going to want a chance to start. And I think this season you'll see a healthy split. I think you're going to see Joe Hofer take a bulk of I think you might see something like 50-34 by the end of this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd say not. I don't think they're going to extend him. I don't know what their backup plan is going into next year, but that's something they'll figure out at next year.
I think they're probably hoping this Romanoff takes a step this year to where he could be some starts next year.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we said yesterday, what do the last 5 games in this first half represent? They got off to a good start with it. Now they have 4 games remaining, including tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. If they're able to finish strong, does that take away the bad taste in your mouth from that 4-game losing streak? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals beat the Brewers 5-1 yesterday. Game 5 of their 5-game set is tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Andre Palante will be on the mound for St. Louis. And earlier today, Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker announced that he will be participating in this year's Home Run Derby. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Andre Palante on the mound tonight for your St. Louis Cardinals. 4 games left in the first half before the end of the first half of the season. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Alex, we asked this yesterday prior to that game against the Brewers. They got 5 games left here. What's at stake? Because they had lost 4 games in a row. It had been ugly. The doubleheader, I think, put a bad taste in everybody's mouth with the Jared Schuster call-up. It wasn't great baseball to watch. Offense went cold. Pitching wasn't great. And then here we are. Well, they win yesterday 5-1, and it almost felt like a cleanse for all of us. They went through a juice cleanse yesterday where it's like, you have Michael McGreevy on the mound. He goes 6 1/3 and gives up 1 earned run. That's nice. Oh, Jordan Walker hits a home run. Alec Burleson hits a home run and a double. Yeah, this is the team that I remember watching for the majority of the first half. If you're able to win, let's call it 3 of the next 4. And you close out winning 2 against Milwaukee, win 2 out of 3 against Atlanta. Are we right back to where we were a week ago? And all is forgiven for whatever that doubleheader was, and then some of what we consider to be bad pitching decisions. Like, is that in play?
All is forgiven is not something I would say, because I could still look at that and say, man, you could have took 3 of 5 against Milwaukee if you would have, pitched somebody other than Jared Schuster. But I do think it puts you back into the seat of, all right, there can be competitive, because I said all along the 2 series that were more important than Milwaukee, in my opinion, were the Atlanta Braves. And if you win 3 of your next 4, unless you're sweeping Atlanta, which is still a good thing, you're taking 2 of 5 against Milwaukee, and then you're taking 2 of 3 against the Atlanta Braves. And to me, that's winning 2 series against a team that's right there with you and being somewhat competitive against the Milwaukee Brewers. So all is forgiven for the Schuster thing? Probably not. But I do think I would look at it as, well, yeah, you're right back where I thought you were originally, to where you're that borderline team that may buy, may sell.
Yeah, if they're able to do 3 of 4, I would feel very good about where they're going into the All-Star break, just because, like, worst case scenario then, if Miami wins their next 4 games, you only lost another game on them, and you're 3 back, so you're still within striking distance. And I think what's most important now, you got to come out of the All-Star game and ready to play and take advantage of this. Then you get a little bit of a sigh of relief when you look at your schedule in the second half. Now, you open up at Arizona. Arizona had your number here at home, but I think you're a better team than Arizona. Now, you got to go prove that on the field, but I think they are a better team than Arizona. Then you get the god-awful Angels that for some reason both took that job. Then Cincinnati, who's not very good. You've had the Cubs number, and they're coming back here to town, and you're playing them at home. And then your final series before the trade deadline is at Toronto. And we've talked about them. They're kind of a disappointment this year. Their offense hasn't been hitting, so the schedule starts to lighten up. Now, you got to take advantage of it. They didn't really do that last month prior to this stretch, when they didn't take 2 or 3 from Minnesota, or when they didn't take 2 or 3 from Kansas City.
Or the Diamondbacks.
But like I said, I think you're a better team than that if you come out and play well. You're just in a better spot. And it's just a matter of, do the Marlins eventually ever go cold?
By the way, they're not going to look at it this way, but in September, it is worth noting they're going to play a bunch of teams that are going to be tearing off pieces. You've got Colorado for 3.
Oh,
they don't have pieces to
give
right
Colorado?
now. It's in Colorado. So that always
your pitching might not be. Your pitching's not going to be good there.
That's
Schuster.
not a team that should do a whole lot of damage against you. You've got 6 games in the final 2 weeks of the season against San Francisco. They're dreadful, and they're ready to sell off pieces at the deadline as well.
Don't you also play Philly though a lot?
I'm in September. That's August.
Okay.
You've got 3 against Washington. They could be a seller. 3 at Pittsburgh. They're probably a seller. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be viewing this in either way. They're just not a very good baseball team. I just mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your final 7 series of the season. And the reason that I bring that up is because, like T-Bone just mentioned right out of the break, it lightens up a little bit. This was the gauntlet. What they're going through right now, this was as hard and as bad as it's going to get for the Cardinals in terms of the scheduling, where you didn't have a whole lot of days off. You didn't have any forgiveness there. Also, you have the doubleheader, and you were going up against, Arizona, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago, Milwaukee, Atlanta again. That's just brutal. It's a murderer's row of National League wildcard plus playoff contenders overall. If you're able to get it out of this and you're still 5, 6, 7 games above 500, I would think you've got to feel pretty damn good about where you're at as a team. And you did this with, some potentially guys going through slumps, some not great pitching overall, and that's not just based upon what your pitchers were, but like Dustin May got hurt a couple of times over this stretch with the back issue and then the ankle. Your bullpen was fried. I think you've got to feel pretty good about where you're at.
Well, and if you also do that, like we're talking about, because, like I said, the schedule, it's 20 and 20 days to start the second half. They don't have an off day until after the deadline on August 6th. So if you're, whatever it is, 5 games above 500, even as you get to the deadline, you still have 3 more days to go. Man, I would feel really good about where you're at. And again, now, this is where it gets tough in the conversation around the deadline. You would feel good about that. The question is, do you still add in year one of the plan under Chaim Bloom? And that's where I think, like today, and I'm just going to warn people now, I'm going to flip-flop back and forth probably over the next month till the deadline, month and a half.
New information means new opinions.
Where are you at in the playoff picture? What I mean by that is, are you in a playoff spot? Because I would bet today they would be planning to sell. And I know that sounds weird how I have flipped from that, but when they're 2 games out, I don't know that they're going to look to add pieces. I think they're going to be open to trading pieces. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean they sell everything, right? It just comes down to, do they get the right offer? But I think they will be more open-minded to it, especially if they're not sitting in a playoff spot, because then you can sell to the fan base, hey, we kind of fell out of it. We're not sure that we were going to be able to get back to where we were in the first month. That's why we decided to sell pieces off.
And if you're the Cardinals, I think the way you sell it, I wouldn't buy this, but they might be able to try to sell this to fans. Hey, we're going to trade Dustin May. We're going to get a pitcher in return that's going to go back into our system, and we're going to give those starts to Quinn Matthews. No, not Hunter Dobbins, Quinn Matthews, because he has done everything we asked of him, and he's ready to take that step, and we think he has a higher ceiling even than Hunter Dobbins does. And Dobbins going to continue to serve as that 6th starter, and then once we get into September, he comes up, and now we've got 6 men in our rotation. We're going to trade, maybe it's JoJo Romero. Here's Bryson Motts. He's going to be added to the bullpen now, giving us length and serving as that left-handed reliever. We're trading Lars Nootbaar. Here you go. Here's Joshua Baez, who's just going to step into his spot in left field, hopefully serving in a similar capacity as a transition piece in our lineup. I'm not telling you have to buy any of that.
That's what a rebuild team does.
That is the kind of thing, though, with natural answers internally, that I could absolutely see them doing that this year straight.
And the Cardinals are also bragging about their 7 picks in the top 75 of this year's draft of what's to come on top of
as
more.
They should.
It's what you do in a rebuild, and I know you're not going to like it, and I'm kind of with T-Bone. I'm even also on the point of, even if they're sitting in a wild card spot and Marlins are right there neck and neck with them, or the Phillies are, or let's say the Braves drop back and they're in that spot because the Phillies have overtaken them, I still think the Cardinals are going to look at this as, yeah, we're here, but look at where those teams are at that are fighting with us versus where we're going to be.
And I would add this as well. If there's a time to do it, when you're kind of in the race, but also saying, hey, it's willing to sell off pieces and do the messaging BK said, it's when fan sentiment is okay with it. Mm-hmm. Because like right now, and again, you don't operate based on what a fan base wants. I know people don't want to hear that, but sometimes you got to put what's best for the organization, not what fans want.
That's what Doug did for 16 years.
Exactly. But I think this is the time where the Cardinals, who, Derek has brought this up, where they're kind of trying to fix the relationship right now with fans. Fans are okay with kind of selling, is the sense that I get. So now would be the year that you'd want to do that, because in like 2 or 3 years, when fans start to get a little bit tired of missing the playoffs and you're in year 5 or 6 of not getting there, and if you had a team this close, they would be, the fan base, I think at that point would potentially turn on you if you were sellers.
And I would say this, like, T-Bone, I think we're in the minority.
No, I get that sense.
I think the majority of fans are more on the Alex side of things, where it's like, hey, this is what the season's about. Yeah, it's nice that you're winning. It's been fun. I've enjoyed watching the young core. Mission accomplished. Now sell the pieces at the deadline, get more prospects, and then let's go again in 2027 and see what you can do. I think that's where the majority opinion is among Cardinals fans. And again, if they say we're trading Lars Nootbaar, Joshua Baez is now a starting left fielder, I think fans will be excited about that. If they say we're trading Dustin May, here's Quinn Matthews, or we're trading Riley O'Brien and JoJo Romero, Gastelum is now your closer, Bryson Motts is now your left-handed reliever coming out of the pen, I think that's something that would sell, and it would be bought by the majority of Cardinals fans. Not all. I would be in the minority along with some of you, but I think a lot of people would be happy about that and would say, hey, that's the right way to handle things. You took advantage of the opportunity that was presented.
Yeah, I don't know if happy's the right term for just speaking for myself, but understandable and excited would be more along the lines of where I'm at, to where it's like, yeah, I wanted to see this team be in the playoffs because I don't like non-playoff baseball. But I understand where you're going with this, and I'll put the faith into you of seeing the transition into these guys so that next year you put yourself in a better position to try and be a playoff team.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll hit the rewind next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, a company that has been taking care of my home since 2016, has been making people comfortable in the area since 1926. You get incredible customer service. You have incredible technicians, quality technicians that have been doing this job for 30 plus years and always looking out for your best interest. And this is something that I really love that they have. They want to remind people not to make an HVAC decision without getting a second opinion. And what that means is if you have a different company that comes out to check your HVAC system and recommends you doing something that you're like, I don't know about that. If you call up Classic Air Care, they will provide a free second opinion with their skilled technicians who have been in the business for 30 plus years. They'll do a thorough inspection of your equipment, review the diagnosis, and help you determine what the best solution is for your home and your budget. So basically, it's that peace of mind thanks to Classic Air Care, and you could schedule your free second opinion online. When you do so, please tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. That's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. Those podcasts are always sponsored by
Shea Fedor Company.
By the way, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to that podcast feed. You can find it over on the Apple Podcast feed, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We are there. Just subscribe to the BK and Ferrario feed. You will also, through that feed, get the weekly edition of the Redbird Report and the Last Minute Blues podcast. You can find the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast now as well over on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. That's where the latest edition of the Redbird Report will be posted later on this afternoon. We're trying to beat our record. We need at least 9,000 of you to listen to this week's edition of the Redbird Report over on YouTube. I'm just going to go ahead and say
Make me
this.
feel pressured.
Even if you don't listen to it or watch it, just go ahead and let it play on your phone. Just put it in the background for a little while. You could turn the sound down all the way. Just do us a favor. Subscribe to us. Listen to it. Check us out over on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN.
Yeah, when BK starts talking, click, click, click down, and then you see T-Bone talking, click him back up.
It's too difficult, man. That's just too much work.
All right, Alex, big news in the NHL today. That was the breaking news earlier. Leo Carlsson, the Anaheim Ducks have officially matched the contract for him at $18 million per year. Your reaction to this was what?
They had to do it. That's a lot of money for a guy that is not going to be able to live up to that number in terms of his AAV. And my bold prediction is Anaheim is not a playoff team this year. I think they're going to have to shape their roster around 3 or 4 guys that have to lead them to success, and that doesn't typically bode well when you're fighting with a lot of teams in the Central Division.
T-Bone, Jordan Walker is officially going to be a member of, or a participant in, rather, the Home Run Derby this year. Alex is not into this whatsoever. I think it's awesome. I love it. It's such a great way for him to get the recognition that he deserves. It's one thing to be an all-star. There's something special about the Home Run Derby. It's always just held kind of a special place, I think, in Major League Baseball. That's where the stars really participate on an annual basis.
And it's where they were born. I mean, Caminero last year was the one that turned into oh, watch this guy.
Cal
Alonso
Raleigh
was that, right?
Cal
Alonso
Raleigh was kind of that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
So-
I remember Alonso, you knew of him, and then he went to the Home Run Derby. It's that guy's unbelievable.
I would say James Wood that was his coming out party in a lot of ways as well.
Didn't J-Rod do it his first year? Was it his second year?
in Seattle, I
yeah.
think.
So for Jordan Walker, this has potential to get his name recognition out there beyond just what he's done here in St. Louis. What was your impression when you saw the news earlier today?
Look, I have some fears of it messing with a player's swing going to the Home Run Derby, but this kid's earned it, right? I mean, I thought at the beginning of the year he'd be out of the big leagues at this point. I mean, that's how down I was on Jordan Walker. I was one of those people that would have been dragging him through the mud through Ali Marmol's speech in the locker room. So good for him, man. He deserves to be an all-star. He has worked his way to this. And if he wants to go be part of the Home Run Derby, go do it, kid. Go out there and win that. So I'm happy for Jordan Walker that he's willing to do this.
Is it funny that he called him a kid multiple
he's
times and he's the same age as Tanner?
No, he's younger than me. I can call him that.
He's 24. Aren't you 24?
I wish. I'm 26.
Jesus, you're old.
Going on 27 in
Tanner.
August.
Damn,
all right,
the gray hairs.
33-year-old with the gray beard.
I wish I was 33. about to be 36, dog. Haven't you seen the gray and the white coming in everywhere?
By the way, I find this kind of interesting. Blaze Jordan not starting at third base today.
Dude, don't ruin the lineup game.
Lineup game coming up later today in the Fast Lane. The lineup is out. They're going up against Logan Henderson. You guys think they get the win today or no?
No.
T-Bone?
I'm feeling good, baby. Yeah. That's
Andre
right.
Palante on the mound. We'll break that thing down for you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you tuning in. We will try to be better tomorrow. If you missed it, again, a Redbird Report will be up later today over on the YouTube page. Last Minute Blues podcast is there. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Fast Lane's next.